I wanted a divorce because my husband had cheated on me, but my 8-year-old son cried and begged me, "Please give Dad one more chance, I want our family to stay together." My heart softened, so I endured the miserable marriage and made raising my son the center of my life. When my son got into a top university at 18, father and son stayed up late drinking and talking. My husband reflected on how his infidelity had hurt the marriage and negatively affected our son's growth, but my son said, "Dad, I get you, we're both men, I never blamed you. Actually, it was Mom making a mountain out of a molehill. You've worked hard, struggling all these years between love and family responsibility." I finally realized I had raised nothing but an ungrateful ingrate. That night, I turned on the gas and blew up the two of them, father and son, along with myself, in that villa. When I opened my eyes again, I had somehow been reborn to the time when my 8-year-old son begged me not to divorce. My son's college acceptance letter had arrived, and his dad, Chin Xiangyang, had gone to pick it up for him. He'd also brought back a bottle of wine. That night, father and son opened the new bottle at the dinner table and drank together, glass for glass. I went to the kitchen to bring out the simmered chicken soup, and when I came back, I heard Chin Xiangyang say to our son, "Xiaoyan, over the years I haven't taken on much of a father's responsibility, and because of my own relationship issues, I've had a negative impact on you. You got into the best university all because of your own hard work. Dad is both proud and sorry." I stopped in my tracks just as I was heading out and froze at the corner. I thought our son would counter Chin Xiangyang's words and say that getting into college was thanks to Mom. It was I who patiently tutored him day and night, steadily bringing his grades up step by step. But the next moment, I heard our son say, "Dad, man to man, I get you. Honestly, I've never blamed you. It's Mom who's making too big a deal out of it. You've been struggling with love and family responsibilities all these years. It must have been hard on you." Chin Xiangyang was moved to the point of tears. "I never expected you to understand me. Thank you, son." His son went on, "That beautiful lady hasn't had it easy, waiting for you all these years either. Now that I'm grown, if you want a divorce and go after love, I'll support you. Mom never takes care of herself and she's older now, so she really doesn't suit you." If I hadn't heard it with my own ears, I would never have believed that the son I raised with my own hands looked down on me so much. In his heart, between me and the cheating Chin Xiangyang, he actually sided more with Chin Xiangyang and the beautiful auntie he was talking about. Did he mean Chin Xiangyang's mistress? When did they ever meet? I couldn't help but think back to when my son was 8 and I first discovered Chin Xiangyang's affair. That very day, I pulled out our marriage certificate and was ready to drag Chin Xiangyang to get a divorce. Back then, I was young, beautiful, and proud, and I couldn't tolerate even the slightest stain. But my son overheard our argument. Tearfully, he rushed out of his room, threw his arms around my leg, and begged me, "Mom, I know Dad did something wrong, but can you give him one more chance? I want Mom and Dad to stay together. I don't want you two to split up." I looked down at his frightened, tear-filled eyes and couldn't help but soften. Over the years, I poured my heart and soul into raising our son. I wanted him to grow up kind and outstanding, not as despicable as his father. But now look at him. He was supporting Chin Xiangyang, who had been unfaithful in the marriage, in getting a divorce and chasing love. Yet he never thought about what would happen to me after the divorce. A stay-at-home wife who had cared for him until adulthood and was now cut off from society. He said the other woman had it hard, but never thought about how my life had hardly been easy either. He even said I was sloppy and unkempt, but I spent every waking moment revolving around him. When would I ever have the time to groom myself and dress up? I used to dismiss what people online said, that sons never truly empathize with their mothers, but now I believe it. For all these years, I sacrificed myself and gave everything I had, only to raise an ungrateful bastard. A crushing sense of despair washed over me. I carried the bowl of soup back to the kitchen stove, took out the bottle of sleeping pills I always kept with me, and poured the remaining half bottle into the soup. Over the years, trapped in a miserable marriage and enduring Chin Xiangyang's infidelity, I developed some mental health issues. I suffered from insomnia night after night, and when my emotions completely broke down, I would cry until dawn. But my son still needed me to take care of him, and I couldn't let myself fall apart, so I kept sleeping pills and tranquilizers on hand all year round, always making sure I was a calm, gentle, and patient mother in front of my son. As I carried the drugged chicken soup out, I deliberately said loudly, "The chicken soup's here, best to drink it while it's hot." The father and son, who had been drinking and chatting in the living room, suddenly fell silent. They exchanged a smile, as if they had reached some kind of unspoken understanding. At that moment, I could clearly feel that they were excluding me. It felt as if my soul had drifted out of my body and was floating in the air. I watched myself smiling as I served soup to my husband and son, and watched them drink it. After they washed up and went to bed, I sat alone in the kitchen for half the night and the gas line was left open for half the night too. I turned off the alarm system, and the whole house was wrapped in silence. The resentment and anger inside me swelled more and more violently. The urge to destroy everything was impossible to hold back. At last, I picked up the lighter and struck it softly. A faint hiss was followed by a deafening blast. Qin Xiangyang and our son, both fast asleep, along with me, were swallowed up by the fire. Before I lost consciousness, I thought how lucky it was that Qin Xiangyang had just moved into a new detached villa. That way, I wouldn't drag anyone else down with me too. I never expected that after dying, I would be reborn and sent back to the year I had just discovered Qin Xiangyang's affair. Memories from the past came flooding back right now. It should be the moment right after my son talked me into agreeing not to divorce. When I stepped out of the room, the house was empty, with no one around. Our son went to stay and play at his grandparents' house over the summer vacation. Qin Xiangyang is probably sneaking off to see his mistress again. I was sitting in the house my parents bought for us when we got married, thinking back on the painful and absurd life I had lived in my previous life. Since fate has given me a second chance, this time, I'm going to live for myself. I sent the news that I wanted to divorce Qin Xiangyang to the Qin family group chat. I also sent along the indecent chat logs between Qin Xiangyang and his mistress in my previous life. I had also kept evidence of Qin Xiangyang's affair. Later, our son borrowed my phone under the pretext of playing with it, and when he returned it, everything I had saved was gone. I thought he was afraid I would divorce his father. Now that I think about it, he was basically trying to protect his cheating father. When Qin Xiangyang rushed back in a hurry, he even brought his son back with him. As soon as he walked through the door, Qin Xiangyang started yelling at me. Hasn't this already blown over? What the hell are you freaking out about now? Do you have any idea how you're making me and Xiaoyan look? The way he said it, it was as if his cheating was somehow my fault. But when I looked over, that son, no, he was only Qin Xiangyang's son. Qin Yan wore an expression of complete agreement. Just like his father, he thought it was my fault too. I sneered at Qin Xiangyang. Wasn't I just letting the family know what you did? If you're embarrassed, then you should have kept it in your pants. You want to do something disgusting and still not let anyone say a word about it, as if the world works that way. Qin Xiangyang's face turned red, and he pointed at me for a long time, unable to say a word. Qin Yan, on the other hand, stood in front of his father and defended him. He accused me. Mom, you clearly promised me you wouldn't divorce Dad. You've gone back on your word. I'm going to start hating you. Qin Xiangyang was clearly the one at fault, yet he was the first one to start hating me. So he hadn't suddenly sided with his father after becoming an adult. By now, he was already on his father's side. I said, yes, I changed my mind. I'm definitely getting divorced. I can't stand living with a cheating man, and just seeing his face makes me sick. In my last life, I bottled everything up and suffered so much that I developed a severe mental illness. In this life, I will never repeat the same mistake. 3. Seeing how firmly I stood my ground, I no longer showed him my usual gentleness and indulgence. Qin Yan was a little annoyed and snorted before saying, isn't cheating just cheating? A lot of my classmates' dads cheat. That's a sign they're capable and accomplished. Where on earth did he learn such twisted nonsense? In a fit of anger, I slapped Qin Yan's unconcerned face. Who taught you to say things like that? Shameless to the core, counting both my past and present lives. This was the first time I had ever laid a hand on Qin Yan. He covered his face and looked at me in disbelief, tears instantly welling up in his eyes. Qin Xiangyang rushed over, pulled him into his arms, and glared at me. You're insane. If you have something to say, say it properly. Why hit the child? He's always been like this. I take care of Qin Yan's every daily need, worry myself sick over his studies, and wear myself out, yet he never lifts a finger. He only rushes in to play the good guy when I'm giving Qin Yan a serious lecture. Even so, Qin Yan still thinks he's better than me. Stop arguing with me about all this nonsense. I want a divorce, and if you don't agree, I'll take you to court. I've got plenty of proof of your cheating. Qin Xiangyang stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Qin Yan was still sniffling and crying. When he saw that I still hadn't comforted him like I used to, he wiped away his tears and sat down beside me, asking, Mom, why do you want a divorce? Dad can let you stay home and live comfortably without having to work. Aren't you satisfied with that? I shot him a glance and said, live comfortably? You mean getting up earliest and going to bed latest every day is living comfortably? I have to get up before dawn every day to make breakfast for the whole family, and after taking Qin Yan to school, I still have to come back and tidy up the house. After school, I tutor him with his homework, take him out to play, and at night, after he's asleep, I still have to clean up the toys he's thrown all over the place before I can finally go wash up, and he calls this an easy, pampered life. When I listed all my hardships one by one, Chin Yen said, "You can hire a nanny, Dad's rich anyway. It's not like we never hired one before, he just couldn't get used to the food. The nanny cooked, and he wouldn't let her take him out either. There was nothing I could do, so I had to do everything myself, but I couldn't be bothered to argue with him anymore. An ungrateful brat like him wouldn't think well of me no matter what I said." Seeing that I stayed silent, Chin Yen went on, "That aunt Dad took me to meet before is gentle and beautiful, she's really attentive to me, and she buys me whatever I want. It's only because you're my mom that I sided with you and didn't want you to get divorced. A man as outstanding as Dad, if you don't want him, there are plenty of women lining up to marry him." So he had already met the woman on the side by this point. Not only did he not hate the woman who destroyed our family, he even praised her for being gentle and beautiful. I couldn't even force the corners of my mouth into a cold smile as I looked at him and said, "How could I not have noticed sooner? Your personality is exactly the same as your dad's, father and son, cut from the same vile, shameless cloth." Chin Yen didn't catch the sarcasm in my words. When I said he was like his dad, he even lifted his chin proudly and said to me, "If you got divorced, I'd definitely choose Dad over you. Could you bear to lose me? In my past life, he used my maternal love for him to blackmail me like this, trapping me in a disgusting marriage with no way out, and then he naturally enjoyed all the wholehearted devotion I gave him, only to end up empathizing with his father." I said coldly, "It's not just that I'm willing to give you up, I wish I had never given birth to you." Did he really think Chin Shengyang was good to him? Once the homewrecker moves in, with a stepmother comes a stepfather. I'd like to see whether he can still say something like, "We're both men, I get you." After growing up being ignored and treated coldly by Chin Shengyang, for my divorce from Chin Shengyang didn't drag on for long. After I threatened to send proof of his affair to his company group chat, he finally gave in. I knew what he was worried about back then. He wanted to start a business but had no seed money. I emptied out years of savings and even sold the 2 houses my parents left me to scrape together several million yuan for him. Now that the company has grown, his net worth has soared, and he's afraid I'll take a share of the company. Chin Yen thought I was just a stay-at-home wife living off Chin Shengyang, so he idolized his father and looked down on me. But when I was working, I earned more than Chin Shengyang. Because when he was little, he was a high-needs baby who could cry and throw a fit all day if he was away from his parents. In the end, it was only after Chin Shengyang and my in-laws kept persuading me that I agreed to quit my job and focus on taking care of the child. Back then, Chin Shengyang held me in his arms and promised, "I'll work hard and build a future for you and the baby, just stay home and rest easy, and I'll make sure you and our child live a good life." Looking back now, a man's promises are worth jack shit. The only thing that really matters is having your money in your own hands. When it came to dividing the assets, I didn't want Chin Shengyang's company shares, but everything movable and immovable under his name had to be mine. Chin Shengyang gritted his teeth and agreed. As expected, Chin Yen chose to stay with his father, just as he said he would. On the day the paperwork was done, I packed up all his things and dumped them on Chin Shengyang. "Take your stuff and get lost, get out of my house." Chin Shengyang gave me a cold look and said, "You'll regret this. You had a good life as a rich wife, but when you've blown all the money in your hands, don't come crawling back to me." I spat at him. "Did you forget who helped build this company? My abilities have always been above yours. You're just a useless gold-digging loser who rode a woman's coattails to the top. Now get the hell out." He really thought a little success meant he knew what he was worth. I remembered when Chin Shengyang and I were first discussing marriage. He was a penniless guy fresh out of school and just starting his first job. Meanwhile, both of my parents were university professors, and they had saved up several apartments in the city as my dowry. When I brought him home for the first time, my parents were completely against us being together. They thought that if a girl married down, she'd end up living a hard life. But I saw how gentle, considerate, and ambitious he was, and love clouded my judgment. I told my family, "You don't know him, he treats me very well." My dad sighed at the time and said, "I may not know him, but I do know men. That boy doesn't seem sincere." In the end, my parents couldn't hold out any longer and agreed to my marriage to Chin Shengyang. Later, the two of them passed away one after the other from illness when they weren't around to see it. I really suffered a lot of grievances and hardships because of Chin Shengyang. 5 After I started living on my own, I began working overtime to study industry trends and business news. The reason I didn't want Chin Shengyang's company shares was because I was nursing a grudge. I wanted to destroy the career he was so proud of. Why should he build his fortune on my back, only to trample all over my dignity once he succeeded? He openly kept a mistress outside, and at home he still expected me to serve him like a maid just as I was getting ready to start my own company and become Qin Shangyang's competitor. He brought his side chick home. It was only through the photos Qin Yan sent me that I finally saw what Xu Yan looked like. This girl, a whole generation younger than Qin Shangyang, was dressed in a jeweled couture wedding gown, young, vibrant, and beautiful. Qin Yan called me and asked, "Mom, did you see the photos I sent? You're nowhere near as good as Aunt Xu Yan. No wonder Dad wants her and not you." I was so furious I almost laughed, and I no longer cared that he was just a child. I lashed out at him directly. "Don't call me Mom anymore. If you like that woman so much, go call her Mom from now on, and remember this, it wasn't your dad who left me, you and your dad, one little bastard, one old bastard, you're both trash." I threw out myself. After I finished cursing him out, I hung up and blocked Qin Yan's number. It was a whole year before I heard anything about Qin Yan again. After marrying, Xu Yan gave Qin Shangyang a son, and he adored the child to pieces. So when Xu Yan said Qin Yan was making a scene at home and disturbing her and little Bao's rest, Qin Shangyang made the decision on the spot to send Qin Yan to boarding school. He was only allowed home 2 days a month. Qin Yan slowly realized that everything his stepmother had done for him before was just an act. It was nothing more than a scheme to curry favor with his father and climb her way up. Halfway through, he changed his number and called me, crying on the phone and pouring out his grievances to me. "Mom, Dad sent me to boarding school for his new wife and new son. Can you come and take me away?" When he didn't need me, he thought I was shabby and unkempt, not as good as a young mistress who could make him look good by playing mom. Now that he's the one getting the short end of the stick, he's thinking of me. I gave a cold laugh. "Didn't you already stop acknowledging me as your mother? Everything that's happened to you was your own choice, deal with it." But Qin Yan said, "Grandpa and Grandma were right. You're a selfish, wicked woman who won't even care for your own child. I hate you to death." He couldn't even get through 3 sentences without spouting nonsense at me, so I just hung up. Qin Yan never contacted me again, and I couldn't be bothered to keep up with his news. My company was already up and running, and I was busy putting together plans and bringing in clients. I was actually pretty good at these things. When Qin Shangyang was starting out, I handled the company's bids during the time I had to take care of the child, staying up late every night to revise and polish them line by line. Even the clients he started out working with were ones I shamelessly called one by one to bring in. Back then, I had to take care of the kids and help build his career, and it was honestly exhausting and difficult. But whenever I thought about how we were working together for our little family, I never complained. So Qin Shangyang never appreciated what I did for him at all. 6 months later, I snatched the first big deal away from Qin Shangyang's company because the manager in charge of that project on Qin Shangyang's side was Xu Yan's drunkard of an uncle, who caused the client to wait 3 full hours after getting into a drunk driving accident. The person shoved out of the spot by Xu Yan's uncle was my college classmate, Qin Yuan. When Qin Shangyang was first starting out, he didn't have many useful people under him, and I was the one who introduced him to them. Qin Yuan probably never imagined that after so many years of following his boss, he'd get edged out by some connected nobody. I comforted him, "Don't get upset either, work hard with me, and before long, it'll be Qin Shangyang bowing his head to us." Qin Yuan raised his glass to me. "I believe you, squad leader." 6. While Xu Yan begged and pleaded to stuff Qin Shangyang's company full of one connected hire after another, my company was growing bigger and bigger. In just 5 years, we had snatched away most of the clients from Qin Shangyang's company. Now he could only take on the small jobs that our company didn't want. I ran into Qin Shangyang again by chance at a business banquet. He looked rather haggard these past 2 years. He'd probably been overwhelmed cleaning up the mess left behind by all those connected hires. Xu Yan, clinging to his arm as she followed beside him, still looked as dazzling and polished as ever. The moment I saw them, they saw me too. Xu Yan looped her arm more tightly through Qin Shangyang's, and the two of them walked toward me together. "Well, look at that. How did this reception end up letting in any Tom, Dick, or Harry?" As they drew closer, Xu Yan sized me up and started making sarcastic remarks. Qin Yuan, my date for the evening, was just about to speak up for me when someone suddenly called out from over there, "Who's the person in charge at Zixing Company?" Hearing that, Qin Yuan told me he'd go over and talk to them first, and not to pay any attention to those 2 clowns. I nodded in agreement. After he walked off, Qin Shangyang asked me with a complicated look on his face, "Zixing Company is his, the one who took away more than half our company's clients." He was probably regretting, in his heart, that he had fired a capable subordinate like Qin Yuan just for Xu Yan's drunkard uncle. I didn't explain myself and turned to head the other way, but hearing Xu Yan speak made me feel utterly uncomfortable. She said, So some people are only able to get in here by clinging to your former subordinate. No wonder someone of her standing would think she belongs here. I couldn't understand it. As the mistress who had once interfered in my marriage, this woman should have been avoiding me, yet she didn't. How did she still have the nerve to keep taunting and mocking me? Line after line I stopped, turned around, and hurled the red wine in my hand straight at Shu Yan's face. Not everyone is as shameless as you. Happily playing the mistress and latching onto rich men, Shu Yan was caught off guard and let out a shriek, squeezing her eyes shut. What the hell, you bitch, honey, help me deal with her. The commotion on our side quickly drew the attention of the people around us. The host of today's reception also walked over, seeing someone approach. Qin Xiangyang put his arm around Shu Yan and pointed at me as he said to the host, "This woman is causing trouble at the reception, Mr. Lin. Hurry up and have security throw her out." To my surprise, Mr. Lin let his gaze linger on my face for a moment before saying, "Chairwoman of Region Company, I'd like to discuss a collaboration with you. I wonder if you'll be free later." As soon as he said that, both Qin Xiangyang's and Shu Yan's faces twisted for a split second. I said somewhat unhappily, "These two were just yelling at me. I don't know how you plan to handle this, Mr. Lin looked at Qin Xiangyang and Shu Yan and thought for a moment before saying, "The two of you don't seem to be on today's guest list. I'm sorry, but please leave immediately." So it turns out they were the ones who got in by using someone else's invitation. I couldn't help snorting a laugh that made Qin Xiangyang and Shu Yan's faces go from pale to green. 7. After the eyesores were shown out, I went with President Lin to an upstairs private room to discuss business. Qin Yuan wanted to follow me in, but President Lin stopped him. "I'd like to have a word with President Lin alone. Could you wait outside for a moment?" Qin Yuan looked at me and only stopped to wait outside after I nodded. After we went in and sat down, President Lin didn't bring up business. Instead, the first thing he said was, "Long time no see, Xiaoyi." I looked at President Lin's mature, handsome face, but I couldn't remember when I had ever met this man. Seeing the confusion on my face, President Lin introduced himself to me in Mandarin with a regional accent. "My name is Lin Yanqi. I'm a student your father supported." I remember now, when I was in high school, there was often an older brother who came to my house for dinner. He wore shabby old clothes, his bangs were long, and he always kept his head down timidly, never looking at people. He spoke with a heavy accent, and sometimes I could barely understand what he was saying. I went to college in another city, and when we said goodbye, he even gave me a wooden rabbit he'd carved by hand. After that, we never saw each other again. It's no wonder I didn't recognize him. He looks nothing like he did back then. "Now you recognize me, right?" I blinked and said with a smile, "I do. The last time I saw you, I was only 18, in the blink of an eye. I'm 38 now." Lin Yanqi gave a soft laugh. "I'm 3 years older than you, but in my eyes, you're still the little sister." We talked about my parents and then caught up on what each of us had been up to over the years. In the end, I leaned on our old ties and struck a deal with Lin Yanqi to become the biggest supplier to his company. When I said goodbye to Lin Yanqi and headed out, my steps were a little unsteady. Seeing how I could hardly hide my excitement, Qin Yuan asked, "Good results?" I couldn't hold back a laugh. "Good, it was way better than that." "Do you know who that guy is?" "Of course I do, Lin Yanqi, the rising star in the business world, the founder of Linen Group, who built it all up from scratch." "That guy?" Qin Yuan said that as he gave me a thumbs up. "He's a student my dad once sponsored." I just shamelessly asked to become their company's supplier, and he agreed. Now that we've got Linen Group as a supplier on our resume, our company is about to level up. Qin Yuan was even more excited than I was. "So does that mean I get a promotion and a raise?" I decided. "Your position is already second only to mine. You can forget about trying to take over, but a raise is fine. Hasn't your wife been obsessed with buying handbags lately? Let her shop to her heart's content." 8. I didn't expect Qin Xiangyang to have the nerve to contact me after the banquet over the phone. He said in a grave tone, "Xiaoyi, all these years since our divorce, I've always wondered how you've been doing. Knowing you're doing well puts my mind at ease." I said impatiently, "If you have something to say, then say it. If you want me to show mercy and leave your company a way out, you'd better start acting like someone who's asking for a favor. I have nothing to reminisce about with a cheating scumbag like you." Qin Xiangyang was silent for a while. I could hear his breathing grow heavier. He must have been angered by my words, but forced himself to hold it in. I heard him force out a laugh. "Hey, you don't know what I'm capable of. I was just in a bad place these past few years. Did you really think you could beat me?" Of course I know that. He's average at best and easily swayed over the years, thanks to Shu Yan's sweet-talking and cutesy act. He's already cut several managers and replaced them with Shu family cronies even if I hadn't deliberately poached his business. It was only a matter of time before his company was ruined. If you called just to spew this nonsense, you can hang up. I'm busy with work. Unlike you, I actually have business to handle, so I'm not sitting around with nothing to do. My sharp retort left Qin Shengyang unable to keep up his friendly facade, and he sneered at me. Aren't you successful because of men too? Do you really think you're some powerhouse? When a man succeeds, it's because he's capable and talented, but when a woman succeeds, it's because of connections or men haven't seen you in years, and you're still this narrow-minded and ignorant. You'd better watch your words in front of me, or I won't even leave you the small contracts. Do you know why I chose to start a business in the same industry as you back then? Qin Shengyang said bitterly. I knew you were deliberately getting back at me. My company's poor performance now is all because you've been undermining me behind the scenes. I cut him off. No. Everything you have today is because you're useless. You're a loser. After that, I hung up. He was no longer worth wasting my time talking to. 9 After Qin Shengyang contacted me, Qin Yan came looking for me too. He must have heard about me from Qin Shengyang, so he came to my company and waited outside the building. I spotted him the moment I arrived for work that morning. The boy, not yet 14, looked completely devoid of energy. With hair that was far too long, he looked gloomy and withdrawn. He was nothing like the bright, cheerful person he used to be in my last life, always wearing a faint smile for everyone he met. When he saw me, Qin Yan hesitated for a moment, as if he wasn't sure whether it was really me. I'm not the same person he remembers anymore. I'm no longer that rough-edged mom who revolved around him and never had time to take care of herself. I'm wearing custom couture and flawless full makeup. Every employee who passes by me lowers their head and addresses me as MS, and after hesitating for a moment, Qin Yan still shuffled over to me and called softly, Mom. Noticing the faint, probing glances from the employees around us, I said to Qin Yan, if you have anything to say, come upstairs with me. After I took Qin Yan to the office and had him sit down, I realized he was injured. There was a reddish handprint on the left side of his face. The corner of his mouth was split and bleeding. There were also scraped, broken patches of skin on his exposed arm. I frowned. You got into a fight with someone. Qin Yan looked up at me then, and I caught a flash of resentment in his eyes. No, my dad hit me. He said I have a great mother. I was a little surprised. Has Qin Shengyang really sunk this low? Can't beat me in business, so he takes it out on a child. But Qin Yan said, it wasn't just today. That woman, Xu Yan, is vicious. Whenever something happens at school, she runs to my dad and tells on me, egging him on to hit me. Look at the bruises on me. Qin Yan lifted his shirt. On his chest and back, I saw old scars that had already healed, as well as fresh bruises from recent beatings against his thin, frail frame. It looked downright shocking. So it's true, once there's a stepmother, there's bound to be a wicked stepfather. Back when we were still married, Qin Shengyang had never even raised his voice at Qin Yan. I was momentarily at a loss for words, and after a while I said, if he hits you, tell your grandparents. Qin Yan started blaming me instead. Your grandparents don't care about him at all. Why didn't you take me with you when you got divorced? You dumped me on that pair of bastards and let them torment me all these years. Don't you feel guilty at all? All these years of hardship still hadn't changed his selfish, self-centered nature. I looked at Qin Yan coldly and asked, need me to remind you, back then, you were the one who insisted on following your cheating father, and you shamelessly wanted to call that mistress mom. Qin Yan lifted his chin and argued, I was young and didn't know any better then. You. Before he could finish, the office door opened and Lin Yanqi walked in. Shui, have you had breakfast? I brought you some. When he saw Qin Yan, he paused and asked me, who's this? I told you I have a son with my ex-husband. This is him. Qin Yan glared at Lin Yanqi with hostility and stepped in front of me, asking him, who are you? What are you to my mom? Lin Yanqi smiled gently. I'm your mom's boyfriend. 10 As soon as Lin Yanqi finished speaking, Qin Yan lost control of his emotions. He turned around and swept everything off my desk, then shouted at me, so you've got a boyfriend now. It's one thing that my dad found me a stepmother, but now you want to find me a stepfather too. Do you even have any shame? You're already this old, and you still want to find a man. I got up and slapped Qin Yan across the face. Say that one more time and see what happens. Qin Yan cried, holding the half of his face I had slapped. He looked at me with grievance and resentment. Was I wrong? You're an old woman and you're still trying to date like everyone else. Isn't that disgusting? If, in a while, you're going to give me a little brother or sister too, I won't agree. If you have one, I'll strangle it to death. I was shaking all over with anger. Life with Qin Shengyang wasn't going well for him, and he was full of pain. He didn't dare rebel against his own father, yet He had the nerve to vent all that pent-up resentment on me. What right did he have to point at my nose and curse at me like that? I closed my eyes, swallowed the urge to kill him, and asked Chen Yan, I'm single and dating normally, and you make it sound like I should be dumped in a pig cage and drowned. When your dad cheated during his marriage, how come you acted like nothing happened? So chastity plaques are only meant for women, is that it? You disgust me even more than your dad does, Lin. Yanqi stepped forward and stopped me, then said to Chen Yan, even though not hitting children is my principle, if you keep talking trash about my girlfriend, I can break that principle too. Chen Yan pointed at Lin Yanqi and me, as if he were about to hurl some insults, but thinking of Lin Yanqi's threat just now, he swallowed it back and kept his mouth shut. After a brief standoff, he said, I want money. My dad keeps cutting off my allowance, and I can't even eat enough at school. I don't want to go back home anymore either. Give me some money so I can make it on my own. So that was the real reason he came today. Disappointed to the extreme, I oddly felt calm instead. I asked, how much? Chen Yan lifted his eyelids and looked at me. 5 million. Chen Xiangyang sent you here to ask me for money, didn't he? You open your mouth and ask for 5 million. Is his company already so broke that he has to rely on you begging me for money to survive? Chen Yan didn't deny it. Chin up. He looked completely justified. Dad said it already, you've always had a duty to support me. The money is something you owe me, and it's not like you're short on cash. I couldn't help laughing. You really are desperate enough to help your dad squeeze money out of me, even after he's beaten and abused you. Chen Yan pressed his lips together and frowned, arguing. Dad said he was only tricked by that woman, Xu Yan. Once I get money from you to help his company through this rough patch, he'll throw Xu Yan and the child she had with him out, and from then on he'll only love me. What? An idiot. How could Chen Xiangyang possibly bear to kick Xu Yan out? It was nothing more than a line to fool him. I took a card out of my bag and tossed it to Chen Yan. I don't have 5 million. Take this 3 million and get lost. From now on, you and I are even. Anyway, you stopped acknowledging me as your mother a long time ago, and from today on, I won't acknowledge you as my son either. If you dare come bother me again, I'll have security break your legs. Chen Yan took the card and left. And before he went, he even said, sure enough, I was right to stay with Dad back then. A cold, heartless woman like you isn't fit to be my mother. 11. After Chen Yan left, Lin Yanqi said, you shouldn't have given him money. How could your ex ever kick out his wife and kid for him? I just smiled and said nothing. I gave Chen Yan the money on purpose. He still had illusions about that fake bit of paternal affection from Chen Xiangyang. Once Chen Xiangyang gets the money, he'll realize that he's still the one who was abandoned. Chen Xiangyang would never throw away his young, beautiful wife and the little son he's doted on since birth just for him. Just as I expected, after Chen Yan took the money home and handed it to Chen Xiangyang, he not only failed to get any praise from his father, he was pinned to the ground and beaten again. Ever since the company's business took a nosedive, Chen Xiangyang's temper had only gotten worse. Taking it out on Chen Yan had become his best way to vent his frustration. Fists rained down on Chen Yan's head again and again. You useless piece of trash, I sent you to get 5 million, and you only brought back 3. That's nowhere near enough to cover the company's shortfall. Xu Yan stood by, gleefully watching the show and occasionally pouring fuel on the fire. I think he's just on his birth mother's side. He's deliberately trying to watch you go bankrupt, trying to see you kneel in front of his mother and beg her to give you a way out. Chen Yan struggled to defend himself. It was obviously you who forced a bunch of useless relatives into the company and drove Dad into bankruptcy. You and your son should get the hell out of my house. Xu Yan snapped. That little brat even dares talk back now. Honey, he had the nerve to insult me and our son. You really need to put him in his place. Chen Xiangyang hit Chen Yan even harder, just as Chen Yan was being pounded by Chen Xiangyang until his head felt like it was splitting. Fragments of memories suddenly surfaced in his mind. In those memories, he grew up carefree under my devoted care and support. He even went on to get into the top-ranked university. In those memories, he had never been beaten or scolded. He was cheerful, excellent in his studies, and praised by everyone he met. There wasn't a trace of the gloom and despair he showed now. Chen Xiangyang, exhausted from the beating, got up and went to the study to look for the debt contract, planning to use the money he got to plug the hole. Xu Yan also went back to her room, shut the door, and played with the child. 12. Chen Yan lay alone on the ground, his whole body shaking with pain. Memories of his past and present lives tangled together in his mind, leaving him unable to tell what was real. He could only pull his phone out and call me. He told me about how Chen Xiangyang had beaten him savagely, and also about the extra memories that had surfaced in his mind. Through tears, he asked me, so that was the life that was supposed to be mine, wasn't it? Mom, my hand trembled as I answered the phone. I never expected Chen Yan to recover memories from his previous life. At last, I had the chance to ask this son who had betrayed the care and upbringing I had given him for more than 10 years. What on earth did I do to wrong you, that you had to join your father in making a fool of me? Chen Yan choked back a sob. So you gave me up because you had memories of your past life, right? I'm sorry, your dad was never anything worth a damn. I was the one who was ungrateful and failed to appreciate you, and I hurt your feelings. I said it wrong. It's not that you're not fit to be my mother, it's that I'm not fit to be your son. I shut my eyes and forced the tears to spill over. It's good that you remember. Don't contact me again after this. In this life, I'm not your mother, I'm living for myself. There was a brief silence on Chen Yan's end. Then he gave a soft ahm. Don't worry, I won't bother you anymore, and Dad won't be getting in your way either. Chen Yan hung up, but the more I thought about it, the more I felt that his tone at the end was a little off. Seeing how restless I was, Lin Yanqi simply took me to the police to file a report. Let the police take a look. Chen Xiangyang's domestic violence against a child should be dealt with. By the time the police arrived, it was already too late. After Chen Yan finished the call with me, he went to the kitchen and grabbed a kitchen knife. Chen Xiangyang, who never expected him to fight back, was hacked to death at the doorway of the study. Xu Yan was knocked down by him and left lying on the floor. His little brother, only a few years old, clung to their mother's mangled body and wailed in grief. When the police came to the door, he climbed onto the rooftop and leapt off. A life cut far too short ended like a blood-red flower. 13 After that, I started my life in this world all over again. After Chen Xiangyang's entire family died, the company they had left behind fell into complete chaos under the management of that bunch of useless relatives. I spent a little pocket money to buy it out and get things back on track. Later, Lin Yanqi and I had a grand wedding, and we also had a lovely daughter. As for all the unhappy people and things, I tossed them all away. The end. That's the end of the first story. Don't go anywhere. The next one is even more exciting. In the 1990s, supplies were scarce. After finally managing to stew a chicken at home, Mom gave the drumstick to the son of our neighbor, Uncle Wang. When Dad asked about it at the dinner table, she said I had eaten it. I denied it, and Mom yelled at me, calling me a liar. You ate it, you ate it, you ate it and still won't admit it. I'll beat you to death, you little liar. Later, she really lost control and beat me to death by mistake. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the dinner table, and Mom said with a forced smile, Fong Fong ate the drumstick. This time, I stood up and said loudly, Dad, I ate the drumstick. Mom didn't give it to Uncle Wang. When I woke up again, I was at the dining table. Dad was scooping up the chicken from the bowl, looking puzzled. Where did the drumstick go? Mom, who was putting herself together in front of the mirror, hurried over and said with an awkward smile, Fong Fong ate the drumstick. As she spoke, she gave me a hard shove and shot me a warning look. Right, Fong Fong. Looking at the anxious expression on her face, I remembered how, in my past life, when the doctor said I hadn't made it, she had finally breathed a sigh of relief. Patting her chest, I gave a faint smile. He stood up and said loudly, Dad, I ate the chicken leg. Mom didn't give it to Uncle Wang at all. Mom froze for a moment, then jumped to her feet and screamed, Lu Fong Fong, what are you talking about? In my past life, my mother beat me to death, because I didn't admit in front of Dad that I was the one who ate the chicken leg she had given away. She rolled up her sleeves and slapped me again and again, viciously across the face, all the while cursing at me. You little brat, you liar, you ate the chicken leg, you still dare say you didn't. You're such a liar at such a young age. Just wait, I'll beat you to death today. My dad couldn't stand it anymore and came over to stop her. Come on, Fong Fong already ate it, and she's still little, don't hit her. My mother looked at me with disgust and said through gritted teeth, little. She's not little at all, she just doesn't want me to have it easy. I couldn't understand why Mom insisted on pinning everything on me. This wasn't even the first time she'd done something like this. Whenever there was something special to eat at home, she would secretly give it to Wang Yaozu, the son of our neighbor, Uncle Wang, and when Dad grew suspicious and asked about it, she would blame me. Who else could it be but Fong Fong? She's just greedy, a girl who's both greedy and lazy. Now look at Yaozu over there. TSK. I didn't know what was so great about Wang Yaozu. He didn't have a mother and lived with Granny Wang and Uncle Wang. Every day, while Granny Wang got up early to cook, he was still asleep. Unlike me, I had to get up early to cook for the family. He'd also often complain that there was no meat in the meal, and would flip the table over in one swoop, shouting at Grandma Wang to get lost. But Mom just liked him anyway. She even said that's what manhood is. Boys are all like that. Then he turned and looked at me with disgust. Boys need food to grow and become the backbone of the family. What good is it for a girl? In the end, she'll just be a disloyal ingrate raised for someone else's family. Every time Dad heard things like that, he'd get into an argument with her. I didn't want my parents fighting, so I silently helped Mom keep it from him. 3. But this time, it was chicken legs. I only get to eat chicken legs maybe once a year, and I was dying to have one, so when Mom said I was the one who ate it, I didn't cover for her like I used to. I just wanted to eat a chicken drumstick, but Mom flew into a huge rage because of it. She slapped me again and again. When Dad tried to calm her down, she said I was just trying to make her miserable. A wave of hurt welled up inside me, and I blurted it out all at once. It wasn't me who ate it at all. Wang Yaozu ate it. Mom gave it to. Before I could finish, Mom suddenly rushed over and shoved me hard to the ground. My head hit the table, and blood poured all over the floor. Mom was terrified, but she quickly pulled herself together. My dad, who tried desperately to get me to the hospital, said she was afraid that if others found out, she'd be sent to prison. If Feng Feng wakes up and says I pushed her, wouldn't I be the one going to prison? Lao Lu, I'm scared. Woo-woo. My dad is an honest man, but he's not stupid. He only managed to blurt out, a child's life comes first, before breaking free from her, picking me up, and running to the hospital. But it was already too late. I'd lost too much blood and there was no saving me. Before I died, I saw my mother hurrying over, and when she heard the doctor say I couldn't be revived, she seemed to breathe a sigh of relief and patted her chest. For filled with resentment, I closed my eyes. When I opened them again, I was back at the dining table. My mother's scream was especially piercing. Frightened, I shrank back in my chair and said shakily, Mom, that's exactly how you taught me. What did I say that was wrong? Mom's eyes turned red with rage, and she rushed over to hit me. What are you talking about, you little brat? You ate what you ate. What, Mr. Wang, are you talking about? Dad finally caught on too and shouted at Mom, why are you in such a hurry? Are you feeling guilty? Is there something going on between you and Wang Xianzhang? Behind my back? That was the first time my dad had ever lost his temper like that. Mom went pale with fear and froze in place. She really was having an affair with Mr. Wang. I saw with my own eyes how Mr. Wang held my mom's hand in his and blew on it to warm it up. It was the bitterest part of winter. Mom hated how cold the water was and tossed Dad's dirty clothes aside, yet she turned around and washed Mr. Wang's clothes from next door. When Mr. Wang came home and saw it, he took her hand and gently breathed warm air on it, asking if she was cold. Mom smiled coquettishly and said she wasn't. I'm not cold. Even if I were, I'd still be willing. As she spoke, she glanced around and saw no one nearby. The two of them embraced affectionately. Thinking of this, I let out a cold laugh. She just didn't know what was good for her. She had a good life right in front of her, but she insisted on running off to cling to someone else and suffer for it. Then I'll grant her wish. 5. My mom's silence only made my dad angrier, and he was convinced she'd been cheating. He rushed over and slapped her hard. The blow split my mom's lip, and it started bleeding. Coming to her senses, she quickly grabbed my dad's sleeve and acted pitiful. It was all Feng Feng talking nonsense. I didn't cheat. That bitch is making it all up. Lao Lu, through all these years, whether we were poor or worn out, have I ever complained once? And yet you still don't trust me. Looking at my mom's hurt, wronged expression, my dad's raised hand hovered in the air, hesitating, his chest heaving. First, he didn't have solid evidence. Second, he still loved my mom deeply. Other women would go out to work with their husbands to earn a living and help support the family. My dad felt sorry that my mom was frail, so he only let her stay home to do the laundry and cook. But my mother never appreciated my dad's kindness. I remembered that after I died, my consciousness still hadn't faded. I had once watched my mother, swayed by Uncle Wang's sweet talk, cry and beg my dad to take the blame for her and go to prison. Then she took the money my dad had worked so hard to earn and, in a flash, happily married Uncle Wang. A surge of hatred rose in my chest. I had to get enough evidence to show my dad this woman's true colors. I met my mom's venomous glare as she looked at me. I spoke up at the right moment. Dad, don't fight with Mom anymore. You'll make her late for the time she already arranged with Uncle Wang to throw out the trash under the big locust tree. The room fell suddenly silent. The next second, ignoring Mom's shrill screams, Dad grabbed a knife from the kitchen and stormed out. Seeing that she couldn't stop Dad, Mom rushed over and slapped me hard across the face, screaming bitterly, Lu Feng, you bitch. You did that on purpose, didn't you? You just don't want me to have peace. I never should have had you. 6. After saying that, Mom hurriedly dashed out the door, ignoring the searing pain in my cheek. I followed right behind her and kept running all the way to the base of the big locust tree. Dad really was already wrestling with Uncle Wang, who had been waiting there all along. The area was already packed with people there for the spectacle. Mom let out a scream, shoved through the crowd, and squeezed Inside, shrieks and angry curses kept coming out in fits and starts. The scene was in utter chaos for a moment. I was stuck outside the crowd and couldn't get in, desperately worried about what was happening inside. When Wang Yaozu appeared beside me out of nowhere, he yanked my hair hard from behind and kept hurling insults. "You little bastard, your dad still dares to fight my dad. My grandma said you're a little slut. And your dad's a stinking turtle, a green-capped bastard." He pulled so hard my scalp ached. I remembered how, in my past life, every time my mom gave him food, he would deliberately and smugly say out loud, "Auntie, you're so good to me, just like my own mom. Some girls don't even get to eat this, but I do, thank you, Auntie." Then she shot me a sidelong glance, took one look at how miserable I was, and giggled. That kind of beastly scum wasn't getting away either, so I endured the pain and pretended to be happy as I said, "After the fight between the two families this time, my mom can't send food to your place anymore. From now on, my mom will only spoil me, and certain people without a mother are going to have it rough." Wang Yaozu pulled even harder, waving his fat little hands and shouting as he did, "Bullshit, bullshit. Your mom doesn't even love you. She said you're a money-losing little slut, a stinking bitch." I laughed even louder. "You're the one who said it was my mom, not yours. Back when our families got along, my mom would give you tasty food. Now that we're fighting, my mom can no longer. Fine, then she'll just be my favorite." Hearing that, Wang Yaozu immediately panicked. He quickly let go of me and squeezed his fat body into the crowd, shouting loudly, "Dad, Dad, didn't you say Aunt Zhang would be my mom sooner or later? I want her to be my mom today. I want Auntie to be my mom." By then, my dad had just been pulled away by the others, while Uncle Wang, with a bruised and swollen face, still stubbornly insisted that nothing had happened between them, and that my dad was just imagining things. Wang Yaozu's shout came at just the right time. My dad's eyes turned red and his face twisted with rage as he charged at Uncle Wang again like a wild beast. "Fine, fine, you cheating bastards." With that, he broke free from the others and gave Uncle Wang another brutal beating. 7. After all that commotion, the neighbors all found out my mom was having an affair with Uncle Wang. In those days, reputation mattered more than anything, and everyone assumed my mom would be in tears, begging Dad to forgive her, and that's exactly what she did. But during the struggle, my dad kicked her, and she hit her head. When she came to, she calmly announced in front of everyone that she was divorcing Dad and going to be with Uncle Wang. Dad was so furious he was speechless. He shouted at her, asking if she had any shame at all. As Mom packed her clothes, she said with great arrogance, "Shame? What shame? Let me tell you, I'm going to be the wife of the provincial Education Bureau director. Unlike people like you, lowly commoners are nothing like me. I've long been sick of you. You're just a laborer, and you'll never amount to anything in this life. Marrying you was the worst bad luck I've ever had. In my past life, I should have remarried much earlier. I could have enjoyed a couple more years of comfort." In that instant, I understood. Mom had been reborn too. Dad was furious with her, his eyes red and his face ashen. To make matters worse, Wang Yaozu was still standing in the doorway making taunting faces at me, rubbing salt in the wound. "You don't have a mother anymore. You don't have a mother anymore. Your mother's mine now, a green-capped cuckold, a little bastard." I rushed over and slapped him hard across the face, cursing, "You're the bastard, shut your mouth." If it weren't for the difference in strength, I would have slapped him long ago. Wang Yaozu was mindful that my dad was there and, in the end, didn't dare to strike back. He just held his face and glared at me viciously. It wasn't until my mom came out with something in her hands that Wang Yaozu dared to go up and complain. My mom spat at me. "Why care about her? She's just a short-lived wretch." With that, she dragged Wang Yaozu away. In my previous life, she had already broken my heart so badly that these few words meant nothing to me. It was my dad I felt sorry for, slumped and despondent, his eyes vacant, sitting in the chair unable to pull himself together for a long time. Only after my mom had gone far away did he finally break down, burying his face in the table as muffled sobs escaped him. I was heartbroken and went over to take his hand. Dad's hands were rough, thick with calluses from years of hard labor. His clothes were covered in dust and scuff marks too. My mom always looked down on him for doing manual labor, saying he was filthy and unkempt. She was also envious of Uncle Wang, who taught and educated others, always neat and presentable. But she forgot that Dad had once had the chance to become a teacher too. It's just that teaching carries prestige, but it doesn't pay much. Uncle Wang's wife went to work as a laborer at the factory because he didn't earn much, and she accidentally fell into a machine and died. Dad gave up a respectable job so Mom could stay home in peace, so I could eat better, and so our family could have a better life. He didn't do anything wrong. It was Mom who was in the wrong. I climbed onto the chair and held my dad tightly. "Don't worry, Dad, she'll definitely get what's coming to her in this life, and we'll definitely end up with a good outcome too. 8 After that, my mom thought she had enjoyed a few good days. I saw her a few times, always humming a tune and looking blissfully happy. Once, I ran into her while I was doing laundry. Usually, she never did laundry for Dad and me at home, saying Dad's clothes were dirty and that she didn't want to be bothered, complaining it's too cold in winter and too hot in summer. Going to Uncle Wong's place meant no more tiring work and a lot less to deal with. She was carrying a big, brimming basin, still with a smile on her face when she saw me. Her eyes were full of schadenfreude, and she said in a sarcastic tone, "Oh, the little bastard's out here washing clothes, huh? Well, of course, there are no women left in the house, so a kid has to come out and do it, but that's fine, your life was born lowly, you deserve to do all this backbreaking work." I was furious at her shameless behavior, and I flung the clothes in my hands down and shouted, "Being born lowly doesn't bother me. I'm only afraid that some people weren't born that way, yet insist on running off to someone else's house to be that kind of lowlife. Get lost, you little bastard, how dare you talk back to me?" She came charging at me in a fury, ready to hit me, but the women washing clothes nearby held her back while the commotion was going on. My dad, who had just gotten off work and come to pick me up, saw it. My dad shouted at her, "What do you think you're doing?" Ever since her rebirth, my mom had a lot more backbone. She showed no fear at all when she saw my dad. What? You still want to hit me? You can't do anything right except hit women. No wonder you ended up a cuckold." My dad's eyes went red with anger. "I'm still better than a tramp like you shameless thing, practically begging people to sleep with you. How dare you say that?" I tugged at my dad's sleeve, not wanting him to argue with her. It was pointless, and it would only give people more to gossip about. My dad swallowed his anger, picked me up, and prepared to go home, but my mom wasn't afraid of gossip one bit. She rolled up her sleeves and said loudly, "That's right, I'm throwing myself at them just to let them sleep with me. I'm willing to work in their house, so what's there to be ashamed of? Who told them they're capable? Who told them they're better than you?" As soon as she said that, all the aunts and older women present looked at her with contempt. Clearly, none of them had expected her to be so shameless. Even my dad was so angered by her that he was left speechless. One of the older women, who wasn't afraid of offending her, said, "Mrs. Wang, you should really watch what you say. When you were with Xiao Lu before, he was so good to you and never made you do so much work, but since you married into the Wang family, you've been nothing but hardworking. You can't be so unreasonable." My mom rolled her eyes and said, "What do you country folk know? Our old Wang is going to be a bureau chief someday. A little hardship now means a lifetime of comfort later." After saying that, she left proudly with the clothes in hand. Only after she was gone did the neighbor lady say, "Xiao Lu, don't listen to her nonsense. Looking at the way she is, she's just putting up a brave front. In fact, things aren't going well for her." Exactly. The Wang family was never any good. Back then, all the dirty, backbreaking work at home was done by old lady Wang alone. Now it's all dumped on her. I even saw her at the door complaining to Xiao Wan the other day. Exactly, she's fooling around with someone and still wants to be a leader. Like that could ever happen. Don't listen to her nonsense. 9 After that, my dad wouldn't let me do any work anymore. First, he was worried I'd run into my mom and get the short end of the stick. Second, he said I was older now and should stay home and study more when I had nothing to do. Learning helps one understand right from wrong. At least I won't be as muddled as my mom when she does things. What he just said reminded me of something in my previous life. After I died, I stayed by my dad's side for a long time after he was imprisoned. The prison guards heard that he had a diploma and were astonished, so they assigned him to work as a technician. Because he was so skilled, they even reduced his sentence. But later, when Uncle Wan became an official, he and my mom were afraid the truth would come out, so they bribed the leaders and still had him sentenced to death. Having a diploma is one of my dad's strengths right now. Doing those dirty, backbreaking jobs may pay well now, but it won't amount to a future in the future. It's still skills that will take you farther. I told my dad about it. After hearing me out, my dad stroked my head with a complicated expression and said, "Fang Fang has grown up. She's sensible now and knows how to think about her dad." He kept comforting me, telling me not to be sad. My mom, he said, was just too confused. I wasn't all that upset, though. In both my past life and this one, while my mom was around, I never got to taste a single good thing, nor did I receive even the slightest bit of maternal love. Everything that should have been mine, she gave to Wan Yaozu instead. After she was gone, I actually felt much more at ease. 10 I saw my mom again on the day of the beginning of winter. I went to the corner store to buy salt, and just happened to see Wan Yaozu rolling around on the ground, clutching my mom's pant leg. I hadn't seen her in a while, and she seemed to have aged a lot. She didn't have that smug attitude anymore either. Looking down at Wang Yaozu, who was rolling around on the ground, she had a bitter look on her face. Your grandma only gave you this little money. It's not even enough to buy things, so where would you get money for candy? You're not a little kid anymore, you should know better. This was the first time I'd heard her scolding Wang Yaozu in the past. Whenever she saw Wang Yaozu throwing a tantrum and rolling on the ground in front of Grandma Wang, she'd be green with envy. If Grandma Wang tried to discipline Wang Yaozu a couple of times, she'd hurry over to smooth things over. Boys are just like that, mischievous and rowdy. That's what being masculine is. Then she'd give him money to buy snacks and drinks. She coaxed Wang Yaozu into happily calling out to her, "Auntie, you're so nice, I wish you were my mom." And now it was really her turn to be Wang Yaozu's mother, yet she was still trying to tell Wang Yaozu to be sensible. Too bad Wang Yaozu wasn't buying it. She stood up and cursed at her, "You filthy bitch, and now you're lecturing me. You were the one who wanted to be my little stepmom. My grandma said it herself, you're nothing but a cheap slut, and you still think you can boss me around. Like hell you can, fuck you." My mom had been publicly stripped of any pretense by Wang Yaozu, and in a fury she grabbed a branch and was about to beat her. Wang Yaozu immediately turned and ran behind her. Grandma, this bitch is trying to hit me again." Mrs. Wang was no pushover. She lunged forward, grabbed my mom by the hair, and cursed at her, "You little slut, and you still want to hit my grandson? What the hell do you think you are? A worn-out shoe nobody wanted. My son Xianzhang was willing to take you in, that was giving you face, and now you're pushing your luck. I'm going to teach you a lesson today." As she spoke, she slapped my mom hard across the face several times. My mom let out shriek after shriek as she was beaten, and kept begging while saying she really had no money. Mrs. Wang practically jumped with rage. "No money? If you had no money, why were you pretending to be so generous back then? You had money to buy snacks for Yaozu before you came to my house, and now you suddenly have none. You filthy bitch, you really went to great lengths just to marry my son, shameless tramp." My mom was so cornered by her retorts that she couldn't say a word, only cry out in pain. I walked home through the crowd of onlookers, feeling nothing but a rush of satisfaction. 11. As soon as I got to the front door, I ran into my dad, who was accompanied by an elegant woman in a coat. I hurried over and greeted her, saying hello, Auntie. Auntie introduced herself quite openly, saying her last name was Lee and that she was one of my dad's superiors at work. She even took out some oranges she'd brought for me. I accepted them and looked at my dad, who was standing off to the side, looking completely flustered. In an instant, I realized this auntie might have some sort of personal relationship with my dad. My dad was honest and reserved, while this auntie seemed very strong-willed. The two of them actually complemented each other quite well. Besides, she was one of my dad's superiors at work. If things worked out between them, it would be nice for him to have someone caring by his side. With that in mind, I quickly invited her to stay for dumplings. Though my dad was a little awkward, he also stammered out an invitation for her to join us. Auntie Lee smiled and nodded in agreement. When we got home, my dad was busy boiling dumplings, and Auntie kept me company chatting. She said she was a few years older than my dad and had never married because of her work. Even though they worked at the same factory before, they were in different roles and had never had any contact. Now my dad had switched to a technical position and was working under her department, which was how the two of them finally got to know each other. Aunt Lee thought my dad was a very good man. He wasn't talkative, but he was very thoughtful and meticulous in everything he did. As she said this, she looked in my dad's direction, a hint of tenderness showing in her eyes. At the table, Aunt Lee was at ease and didn't try to curry favor with anyone. It made people feel very comfortable. I also felt a warmth sweep through my heart. My dad is a great man. He deserves someone better. I really enjoyed this meal. Although my dad kept his head down the whole time, I could tell he was constantly paying attention to Auntie's feelings. Well then, after we finished the dumplings and went to the door to see Auntie off, we ran into my mother, who was out for who knows what. She looked exhausted all over, but the moment she saw Auntie Lee, her eyes flew wide open and she started barking and hopping around again. "Oh, please, you may look all polished and respectable, but you've got no brains, and you still have the nerve to go chasing after marriage. Marrying some broke loser means not only paying your own way, but also becoming a stepmother and taking care of that little bastard. What on earth is wrong with you?" My dad hadn't planned to argue with her. After all, Auntie Lee was still there. But when she called me a little bastard, and my dad was about to lose his temper and rush over, Auntie Lee suddenly spoke up. "Isn't that you, the one who cheated with a broke guy, rushed to be his stepmother, and took care of his little bastard? I've long heard of your reputation, and now that I've finally met you, I can see it really lives up to the hype." My mom hadn't expected Aunt Lee to be so sharp-tongued. and she immediately looked unhappy. What's wrong with that? So what if I cheated? Old Wang is going to be a bureau chief someday. People should aim higher. I chose a better man. What's the problem? You think everyone has the same standards as you? Stay with him and you'll never amount to anything for the rest of your life. Aunt Lee gave a faint smile. A bureau chief, someone with a scandalous personal life, is already violating discipline. It'd be nice if they didn't arrest you, and you still think you can become a bureau chief. My mom must have realized Aunt Lee wasn't just anyone, and panic flashed across her face. Just then, she heard Granny Wang yelling and cursing for her to get back to work. She slunk off in a hurry. 12 From that day on, I didn't run into anyone from the Wang family or my mom for a long time. I didn't even have to ask around. No sooner had I stepped outside than a nosy neighbor came over and quietly told me, Xiaofeng, you don't know this, but your mother has been having a rough time lately. I tossed the trash in my hand and smiled without saying anything. Another neighbor's son teaches at the same school as Uncle Wang. When she saw I wasn't saying anything, she chimed in, I'm sure she's having a hard time. My son says that Wang family boy had pretty much already locked in the position of school principal, but then somehow the school leaders heard that his personal conduct was bad. That whole thing fell through. Ha ha ha. Exactly. These past few days, the whole Wang family has been holed up at home, too embarrassed to show their faces. Young Wang hasn't been home for days. Mrs. Wang is furious and spends all day beating up that slut at home. Beating that slut serves her right. The Lu family is such an honest bunch, and Xiaofeng is such a well-behaved girl, but she had to go mess around with someone else and practically rushed to become someone else's mother. Well, the Wang family matriarch was no pushover. Exactly, it was karma hitting the Wang family too. Ever since he got together with that woman, they haven't had a single peaceful day. Serves them right. I didn't say anything. While they were still chatting away excitedly, I turned and went home. No matter how miserable my mom had it, that was the retribution she deserved. The neighbor lady behind me was still talking about it ever since that incident. This kid hasn't liked talking. Exactly. Having such a shameless mother must have had a huge impact on the child. It was only a few days after the neighbor lady finished telling me about it, I actually ran into Uncle Wang on the street. He had his arm around my mom the whole way, walking home all lovey-dovey. He didn't look the least bit affected by the hit to his career. When everyone saw it, they all rolled their eyes at them, saying that doing that in broad daylight was just shameless. My mom curled her lips into a smile and said loudly, jealous? You're all just jealous of me. Just wait until my old Lu gets promoted, and then I'll make sure none of you have it easy. 13 Not long after, someone saw Uncle Wang taking a bus into the city with bag after bag of stuff. Everyone quietly guessed that he must have been bringing gifts. Maybe this thing would really work out after all. I never expected that. When I was waiting at the door for my dad to come home that night, I saw Uncle Wang, drunk as a skunk and looking fierce. While cursing, "You little bitch," over and over, he kicked the door open viciously and stormed inside. Uncle Wang had always been a refined, well-mannered man. I'd never seen him like this before, so I couldn't help stretching my neck to listen in. Before long, I heard my mother's anguished screams. Mixed in with them were Uncle Wang's furious roars. I didn't get appointed as director, and it was you, damn it, who told me to go see Director Wang at the Education Bureau. You said he admired me and would definitely get it done for me, and look at the result. Now the whole Municipal Education Bureau knows I didn't get the job because of misconduct. Do you want me to be humiliated even more? It's all your damn fault. I'm going to beat you to death. I'm going to beat you to death. Old Mrs. Wang also joined in, crying and cursing as she hit out at her. You jinx, it's all your fault. You just had to cling to my son and even came up with the idea of having him give gifts, saying he'd definitely become a high-ranking official in the future. I think you're nothing but a fraud, a jinx. That must have cost a fortune. Now the money's gone, and my son still didn't get the job. Get out, get the hell out of here, you jinx. Wang Yaozu joined in and started cursing at her. Slut, tramp, get out of my house, get out of my house. My mother was thrown out of the Wang family like that, wearing only a thin single layer of clothing, her face bruised and swollen. After Granny Wang slammed the door shut with a bang, she was still muttering to herself, impossible, impossible. Xianzhong would definitely be elected director. I know that man, he really admires Xianzhong. How could this happen? Impossible. How could this be? How could this be? As she spoke, she hurriedly pounded on the door and shouted, Xianzhong, Mom, believe me, this is definitely going to work. Xianzhong will definitely be a leader in the future. But no matter how hard she knocked or how much she tried to explain, nobody paid her any attention. I watched all of this coldly from the shadows. She was so carried away that she forgot how important reputation is to a person. Back then, Uncle Wang was able to rise to a top leadership position because her affair with him never came to light. She killed me and let my dad take the fall, then used the money my dad worked so hard to earn to pave the way for Uncle Wang. That's how they ended up living such a happy life later on. Now that her affair with Uncle Wang has been exposed, the money is gone too, and yet she still flaunts it every day, as if she's afraid no one will know. And after all that, Uncle Wang still wants to be a leader he can dream on. 14 That evening, when Dad came home, I excitedly told him all about it. My dad just gently stroked my head. He said I was still too young to understand love and hate. He also said, although she's wronged us, we're not going to go watch the spectacle. Everything about her has nothing to do with us anymore, we just need to live our own lives. Well, and that's enough. I couldn't tell Dad that I had already lived 2 lifetimes, but I understood what he meant. He didn't want me to live with hatred in my heart. After dinner, Dad said seriously that he'd been promoted today, and his boss had promised to give him a raise next month. Tomorrow, he'd take me to buy pretty clothes and snacks. From now on, he could give me a better life. When he said that, there was a glint of tears at the corners of his eyes. I knew he had always felt sorry for me. For having made me suffer. I jumped off the stool and ran into his arms. Under the dim yellow light, I gently wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes. 15 Later, I saw my mother at the Wang family's place again. I heard that it was Mr. Wang secretly going to the city to meet with the leaders behind the school's back. That angered the school administrators. The school fired him with no income coming in. Grandma Wang made her go in and work to help support the whole family. After Mr. Wang was removed, the neighbor lady's son took his place. When she talked about it outside, she was all smiles and beaming with excitement. That son of the Wang family was acting like he had something wrong with his head. He actually took the initiative to air his dirty laundry to the city. Oh, and that's not me saying it, that's what the leadership at my son's school said. It was a complete disgrace to the school. The school leaders fired him on the spot. Now he's holed up at home, too ashamed to show his face. What I didn't expect was that the Wang family would actually send my mom to work at the factory that belonged to Uncle Wang's deceased ex-wife. That's what my dad told me. He had truly let go of the fact that my mom had betrayed him. Even now, there was still a hint of sadness when it came up. That place is really dangerous. It's not the first time someone has died there. The Wang family is ruthless too, but it was her own choice. Yes, it was all her own choice. Back when she was with my dad, he was worried about the danger and never let her work a single day. She didn't value it, and ended up pushing herself straight into the abyss. 16 Later, I started going to school, and I didn't see her for a long time. I saw her again on the day my dad married Aunt Lee. By then, she had already grown gaunt and scrawny. No one knew where she found the strength. She actually climbed over the courtyard wall between our 2 houses, and came straight into my home in front of everyone. She collapsed at my dad's feet, tearfully begging him to forgive her. My dad shielded Aunt Lee behind him and said with a frown, "You chose this path yourself, and now you've got the nerve to stand here looking down on me, saying that someone like me, who works with his hands, will never amount to anything in this lifetime. Back when you married, it's been nothing but bad luck for me. What, couldn't become the bureau chief's wife, so now you regret it?" My mom cried as she went up to grab his trouser leg, tears and snot streaming down her face. "I regret it, Lao Lu. I really do. I never should have cheated. I never should have given up a good life and run off with that bastard. He's not human. He beats me and won't let me eat. I've changed. I really have. Just give me one more chance, please." After my dad got together with Aunt Lee, he became a lot sharper with his words too. He went straight into mocking her. People should always strive for better. Just as water flows downhill, I gave up the chance to be the wife of a big shot. So why should I settle for a worn-out cast-off nobody else wanted? Marrying you in the first place was the worst luck of my life. I'm telling you, get the hell out of here right now, or I'll call Wang Xianzhong over now. The mere mention of Wang Xianzhong makes my mom tremble. Seeing there was no hope, she hurriedly got up and left. After she left, my dad put an arm around Aunt Lee's shoulder and said with a laugh, "How was that? Pretty good, right?" A faint blush colored Aunt Lee's usually stern face as she praised him. "Your way with words is getting better and better." 16 After my dad married Aunt Lee, he took me to a big house in the city. Aunt Lee said the city had better educational resources. She wanted me to go to a better school. Then one day, as I was heading to school, Aunt Lee hurried over to pick me up. Her expression was rarely this anxious. I said this softly, all the while watching my expression. "Your mother killed someone." With Aunt Lee's help, I met the police officer in charge of the case. From the testimony, I learned the full story. Back when my dad got married, someone with too much time on their hands passed along the fact that my mom had gone to see him, and it eventually reached Uncle Wang's ears. But by then, Drink had already ruined his body. Beating her a few times wouldn't have hurt that much, but Captain Wang Yao was all grown up now. He'd been spoiled rotten since childhood, and he still hadn't turned out right. All he ever did was drink, beat people up, and cause trouble. After he found out about it, he gave my mom a beating. It was even worse than what Uncle Wang had done. He nearly beat her to death. During that time afterward, my mom had to endure a living hell under Wang Yao's group. She tried to run away several times, but each time they caught her and dragged her back until, unable to take it anymore, she took advantage of a moment when old Mrs. Wang wasn't paying attention and put rat poison into the pot. The police said that after the Wang family could no longer move, she stabbed them more than a dozen more times. The scene was so brutal that even homicide detectives with more than 10 years on the job couldn't stomach it. Even after killing someone, she didn't run. Instead, she called the police herself. She knew for sure she would die, and she had only one request. She wanted to see me one last time. 17 On the day I went to see her, Dad was uneasy and wanted to go in with me. Aunt Lee stopped him. She nodded at me, trusting that I would definitely be able to handle it. When I saw my mother, I almost didn't recognize her. She was skin and bones, but her gaze was still razor sharp. As soon as she saw me, she asked impatiently, "Have you been reborn too?" I didn't hesitate and nodded right away. She laughed, and the laughter grew louder and louder. No wonder, no wonder. You were the one who exposed our affair. And when Wang Xianzhong went to the Education Bureau to grease the wheels and failed, that was your doing too, wasn't it? I still nodded. At first, that official from the Education Bureau really did admire Uncle Wang's talent. If Aunt Lee's parents weren't top city officials, if I hadn't asked Aunt Lee to write to the Education Bureau about my mom and Uncle Wang, then the leaders of the Education Bureau might really have taken into account the gift my mom carefully prepared based on what she learned about his preferences in her previous life, as well as his admiration for Uncle Wang, and helped Uncle Wang move up to the position of director, and there would have been nothing I could do about it. But that's often how fate works. The moment I saw Aunt Lee, she already felt oddly familiar. If I'm not mistaken, she should be the daughter of the judge who said what a pity it was when my father was sentenced in my past life. They both had such stern, sharp faces, and each had a small mole at the corner of the eye, but they were also both so kind-hearted. It was lucky for me and my dad, and those two, Uncle Wang and my mom, had done so many terrible things that they got exactly what they deserved. 18 As visiting time was drawing to a close, she suddenly asked me, "Aren't you curious how I came back to life?" I stopped in my tracks and turned to look at her. The expression on her face was rather intriguing. I was killed by Wang Yaozu. I'd spoiled him rotten since he was little, so whenever things didn't go his way, he would hit and curse at people. As an adult, he became even more lawless, utterly lawless. One day, he came to me demanding money. I refused, and he shoved me down the stairs, killing me. When his grandmother rushed up to stop him, he threw her down the stairs too. Ever since I came back, I've been trying to discipline him, but his grandmother wouldn't allow it. Thinking about it now, it's truly pathetic. I'd rather try to set straight someone who's had rotten roots since childhood than care even a little about my own biological daughter. She looked at me, her eyes brimming with tears. "Fong Fong, can you forgive Mom?" Seeing that I didn't say anything, she hurriedly added, "I was only thinking ahead for you. Wang Yaozu is a boy, and you two grew up together, so I wanted to treat him a little better. That way, when you're grown you'd have someone to count on. I never expected, Fong Fong. I was wrong." Mom really knows she was wrong. I frowned, and a bitter, indescribable feeling welled up in my chest. I hadn't expected even that slight change in my expression to be caught so quickly by her. In an instant, she broke free from the prison guard with lightning speed and lunged straight at me. "Lu Fong Fong, go to hell." In that instant, it was as if I had returned to the scene I saw right before I died in my past life, but this time, I knew exactly what she was like, so I was no longer caught off guard. I dodged nimbly to the side. The next second, a loud thud came from behind me. She crashed into the wall behind me with too much force, and blood gushed out. By the time the guards helped her up, she was already on the brink of death, but she still struggled to look my way. "You little bitch, this is all your fault. You ruined me. I could have become the wife of the bureau chief. I still had a chance. It was you. You should have died long ago. Why don't you just die? If you were dead, I wouldn't have ended up like this." After saying that, she coughed up a mouthful of blood and died with deep resentment. 19 I've heard that hearing is the last sense to fade when a person dies. Ignoring everyone's attempts to stop me, I stepped forward and leaned in close to her ear, whispering, "Mom, if I could, I'd want you to stay alive forever. Otherwise, how could you see me, the one you looked down on the most, living happily with Dad? But now that you're dead, I don't feel nearly as satisfied as I thought I would. Oh, right, do you believe in karma? You love uncle so much. After you die, I'll bury you beside him so you two can be reunited as a family. How about that? You killed them all, if there really is a hell. Do you think they'll come back to get revenge on you? My mother, when I finished, I stood up and left. Maybe it was just my imagination. As I turned around, I saw her body suddenly jerk. Maybe she heard what I said, but none of that had anything to do with me anymore. She lived 2 lives, and neither ended well. She blamed heaven, she blamed earth, she blamed one Yazoo, she blamed me, yet she never once reflected on herself. Do enough evil, and retribution will come in the end. This was her karma. And also her tragedy. She wasn't worth forgiving. And she wasn't worth hating anymore, either. From now on, I'll live my own life well. The end. Story 2. In the 3rd year of being a step-mother out of love, I was scrolling through short video apps when I saw a comment, "Sisters, broaden your horizons." I directly asked my husband to bring his mistress home. She takes care of the kids and does the housework, and she's the perfect one to take over the house we bought at the highest price. Although that comment had a high number of likes, what really caught my eye was the photo of my step-son on the avatar. My hands trembling, I clicked into the homepage of the avatar. As expected, the owner of the account was my husband's ex-wife, who he said had gone abroad and couldn't be reached. But the video updated on this account 2 days ago was of my husband and step-son celebrating the ex-wife's birthday. In the video, the step-son was soft and cute. "I wish my dear mom to be 18 forever, always beautiful and like a fairy." My husband's eyes were glued to his ex-wife wearing a birthday hat. "I hope my baby will always be so carefree, smooth sailing, and safe." And the ex-wife, who was said by everyone to have abandoned her husband and child and couldn't be reached after going abroad, was smiling brightly. Her well-maintained hands were as white, tender, and slender as scallions. She patted the step-son. "You little heartless one, you call me mom in front of me, and you also call that woman mom affectionately." My husband pinched her face full of collagen disapprovingly. "You're wronging our son, you don't know how much trouble he can make every day." I couldn't bear to listen anymore. In my panic, my phone accidentally slipped out of my hand, and the screen turned blue. I squatted down and slowly picked up the phone, trying to turn it off and restart it, but tears fell onto the screen, and the already unresponsive touch screen couldn't be operated at all. I dejectedly put the phone on the coffee table. The pictures I had tried to forget drilled into my mind again. The woman in the video was laughing so brightly and beautifully. Her hands were maintained like fine suet jade. Looking at my own hands with thick joints and small cracked wounds on my fingers, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. My husband, Shang Yu, was right. My step-son, Shang Yuan, could really make trouble. The year I married into the Shang family, he was only 3 years old. The little milk bun looked exactly like his father. At that time, I was so infatuated that no matter how my parents tried to stop me or how my relatives and friends laughed at me, I was determined to marry Shang Yu. I learned that Shang Yuan's mother had heartlessly left him when he was 1.5 years old and went abroad. With no news since then, my maternal love burst out, and I thought how poor it would be if little Shang Yuan had no one to love him. On the 2nd day of our marriage, I took the child from my mother-in-law. Shang Yuan didn't want to talk to me, so I made up for my knowledge of child psychology, read parenting books, and studied children's preferences. It's no exaggeration to say that I can name all those seemingly identical Ultramans and any animal that has ever appeared in Peppa Pig. When Shang Yuan was a child, he had an irregular diet, a weak stomach, and was anemic due to being picky about food. To make him eat a few more bites of nutritionally balanced food, I read countless tutorials on making children's meals. He loved to explore and study, and I let him crawl around on the ground, but those clothes had to be washed by hand, otherwise, they couldn't be cleaned at all. But even though I treated him with all my heart, he was still indifferent. When he asked me to take him out to play, "Hey, can you take me for a stroll downstairs?" When he wanted to eat preserved egg and lean meat congee, "Hey, can you make preserved egg and lean meat congee today?" When I picked him up from kindergarten, a child praised him. "Shang Yuan, your mom is so young," he said with a straight face. "She's not my mom." The parents who came to pick up their children looked at me with different expressions. I would feel wronged and embarrassed, but Shang Yu would always hug me and act coquettishly. "Honey, you know what? When I was a child, what I envied the most was that other kids had their moms to dote on them. Only I was accompanied by my grandma and the nanny every day. When my emotions broke down and I wanted to give up, Shang Yu would show me pictures of himself sitting alone in the yard when he was a child. "Honey, do you want to raise another little Shang Yu?" Being infatuated, I was full of love and tolerance for Shang Yu and his son. I thought that even if Shang Yuan was a stone, I would surely turn him into water. I persisted for 3 years, but I never got a mom from Shang Yuan. The phone couldn't be turned on completely. The person repairing the phone asked me if I had backed up my chat records. I waved my hand. It doesn't matter, just repair it directly. Just thinking about the chat records that I hadn't been willing to delete since I met Shang Yu made me feel nauseous. I don't know how he did it. On one hand, he said sweet words to me in front of me. When he was pursuing me, he seemed to want to cut out his heart to show me, but secretly, he could call his ex-wife baby with so much affection. Since your family of 3 is so harmonious, why did you get divorced? Why did you marry me and finally make me a complete joke? And the comment from his ex-wife calling me a mistress really stabbed my heart deeply. When I met Shang Yu, he had been divorced for a year. I had never interfered in their marriage. How could she, in the tone of a victim, impose malice on me without any psychological burden? The phone still needed to be repaired. Bored, I went to the mall. Coincidentally, I saw Shang Yu and Shang Yuan in the fresh food area. Cool. Shang Yuan was clinging to his ex-wife, Lin Fangfei, like an octopus. Mom, what do you want to eat today? Let me and Dad show our skills. We'll definitely make you want to eat more after you taste it, so that you won't always go out and ignore us. Shang Yu shook his head and had already skillfully put lotus root slices, pork tenderloin, perch, and chicken wings into the shopping cart. Lin Fangfei naturally walked to Shang Yu's side and took his arm. Quickly discipline your son. He actually forgot what I like to eat. Seeing the things in the shopping cart, she smiled again, stood on tiptoe, and kissed Shang Yu on the face. People were coming and going around, but I stood there, stunned, unable to move for a long time. It was like a dull stick hitting my head, the pain and dizziness mixed together. I couldn't tell for a moment whether I felt more embarrassed or more sad. When I composed myself, I could no longer see Shang Yu and the others. So, Shang Yu could cook, but in all these years of marriage, he had never cooked. Not even a bowl of instant noodles. I still remember during the pandemic, when I had a high fever and was too weak to get out of bed, I asked him to cook a bowl of noodles for me, but he just gave me a pack of instant noodles. My throat felt like there were blades, and it hurt even to swallow saliva. I held the instant noodle block with tears in my eyes. How can I eat this? But Shang Yu pleaded with his hands clasped. Honey, I'm sorry, I can't cook. I'm sorry to make you suffer. I ate that instant noodle block with tears and boiled water. It took me a long time to finish half of it, but it turned out that he could cook. And Shang Yuan, every time I asked him what he wanted to eat, he would say whatever, but if what I cooked was not delicious or didn't suit his taste, he would immediately order takeout with Shang Yu's phone. I was so stupid at that time. I earnestly advised him that takeout was not healthy and that children shouldn't eat too many hamburgers and fries, but every time Shang Yuan would just give me a dirty look, and Shang Yu would smile and massage my shoulders. Oh, honey, don't go too far. If the child likes it, just let him eat. I put down the spinach I had just chosen and waved to the vendor who was waving at me and shouting, Sister, there are fresh prawns today. They're just right for making shrimp balls for your child. I've been married for 3 years without getting pregnant. Where do I have a child? Whoever gave birth to the child should take care of it. I don't want to be that big fool anymore. When I got the phone, it was already slightly dark. Looking at the formatted phone, I couldn't help but laugh again. How nice it would be if the stupid experiences in my life could also be formatted. Those were my most sincere and fearless 20s, and also the 3 years when I was young and in love, but it was all wasted. Just then, a phone call came in. Sister, the English tutoring class you reserved for your child in advance is starting to arrange classes now. I've sent you the payment code. It's a total of 38,000 yuan. Please send me a screenshot after you make the payment. 38,000 yuan. I looked at my empty wrist and then recalled the shiny gold bracelet on Lin Fangfei's wrist. Teacher, I'm sorry, Shang Yuan's English tutoring class won't be enrolled for now. Well, it's not your problem. It's just that I'm temporarily short of money. Okay, I'll contact you as soon as I need it. After hanging up the phone, I took a taxi directly to the gold store and bought the Lucky Charm compass bracelet that I had seen several times but had never been willing to buy. It happened to cost 38,800 yuan. After leaving the gold store, I went to the mall. I bought the coat and shoes that I had liked but hadn't been willing to buy before, thinking that in the 3 years of my marriage, in order to save money for Shang Yuan to enroll in various tutoring classes and interest classes, my quality of life had dropped again and again. But the family I truly loved regarded me as a free nanny. They even wanted me to be the one to take over the high-priced house. This is really unbearable. It was already 11 o'clock when I got home. The living room was pitch black. I put down my things, turned on the light, and was faced with Shang Yu's gloomy face. Ning Xian, Do you know that Xiaobao went to bed hungry? Do you know how long he waited for you? You're a mother. Even if you want to go shopping, you should consider Xiaobao's schedule, right? And look at all these bags. How much do they cost? Xiaobao is about to go to a private primary school. The tuition alone is more than 100,000 yuan a year. We finally got Xiaobao accepted through the interview. Can you think more about Xiaobao? Why couldn't I see through him before every word he said? Did any of them concern me? Was it dangerous for me to take a taxi back at around 11 o'clock at night? Was I tired after shopping for so long? Had I eaten? It was all about Xiaobao, Xiaobao, and still Xiaobao. In order to accommodate Xiaobao's schedule, I had to sacrifice my social life and my own life, and revolve around Xiaobao. In order for Xiaobao to go to a private school, I had to save on food and expenses so that Xiaobao could enjoy the best resources. I looked at Shangyu with a long face. Shangyu, I'm just Xiaobao's step-mother. I have no blood relationship with him. It's my kindness to be good to him. But you, his biological father, are directly responsible for his education, his food, drink, and daily life. Seeing that my face had turned cold, Shangyu's expression softened. Honey, I don't mean to blame you, it's just that you didn't come home so late. You know how worried I was. Next time you go shopping, let me accompany you. Your husband can help you carry your bags and so on. And you know, I grew up crying and waiting. Now I don't want Xiaobao to continue my tragedy. In the past, every time he mentioned his tragic childhood, I was like being bewitched. I felt sorry for him, understood him, and loved Shang Yuan even more because of him. But this time, I twirled the compass on my wrist without even looking up. The tragedy of your childhood was caused by your parents. If Shang Yuan is not happy in his childhood, it's also because of you and his biological mother. Shang Yu, I'll say it again, I'm just his step-mother. After that, I didn't even look at Shang Yu's shocked expression, nor did I, as I usually did, go to take a look at Shang Yuan in his sleep. I opened the bedroom door and went in. The next day, I didn't set the alarm clock early as usual to make breakfast for Shang Yuan in different ways, nor did I wake Shang Yuan up when the bang 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 knocking on the door and Shang Yuan's crying sounded. I lazily got up to open the door. Shang Yuan cried even louder, and Shang Yu's chest heaved violently. Ning Xian, look what time it is now. Xiaobao is going to school now, and the class will almost be over. It's still the kindergarten, primary school transition period. If he's late when he goes to primary school, what will the teacher think of our Xiaobao? I scratched my head. Oh, tears rolled down Shang Yuan's face, and he stuck out his neck and tried to hit my stomach with his head. You bad woman, it's all your fault for driving my mom away. You didn't give me food and made me late. I'll kill you, you bad woman. The child was very strong. I didn't give in to him as I used to. I closed the bedroom door with a bang. Hearing the sound of the impact, I casually opened the door. Look at this child. Where does he get so much strength? There was a red mark on Shang Yuan's head. Shang Yu was so angry that his veins bulged. Ning Xian, he's just a child. How could you hit him? I quickly made a stop gesture with my hand. Which hand of mine hit him? Don't wrong me. Shang Yu rubbed his temples and took a deep breath. Okay, I won't argue with you. Hurry up and find him clothes, make him food, and send him to school. I spread my hands, raising my hands with thick joints. Sorry, my joints hurt, I can't do it. Since you say it's so easy, you do it yourself. Shang Yu stared at me for a long time before pulling Shang Yuan to get things ready. Hearing the loud sound of the door closing and looking at the messy kitchen, I couldn't help but laugh. Not bad, Shang Yu is quite interesting. He's afraid that his son will be hungry, and he's also afraid that I'll find out that he can cook. After cooking, he deliberately makes the kitchen messy so that next time, for the sake of convenience, I won't arrange for him to cook again. What a shrewd little calculation. But I didn't clean it up. After washing up, I carried my bag and went to the breakfast shop to have breakfast. When I was wandering freely on the street, I met the mother of Shang Yuan's good friend in kindergarten, Shang Yuan's mom. Why didn't I see you when I went to register at Shangqing Primary School today? I was taken aback by what she said. What registration? The mother of Shang Yuan's classmate looked at me in shock. Oh, it's the new student registration for Shangqing School. There's only one day for it, and it's a strict deadline. The teacher sent the message 3 times in the group yesterday. At ING all the group members. Didn't you receive it? I held up my phone. It got broken yesterday. Even after it was repaired, the chat records were gone. The mother of Shang Yuan's classmate waved her hand. I won't hold you up. You should hurry up and go through the procedures. They get off work at 4:30. You can still make it if you rush. I scratched my head irritably, quickly took a taxi home to look for the materials, but no matter how hard I searched, I couldn't find Sean Yuan's vaccination book. Without this, it's impossible to complete the enrollment. I quickly called Sean Yu, but he hung up every time I called. When I called again, he hung up again, and finally, he directly blocked me. I was so angry that I could only leave him a message on WeChat. Unexpectedly, as soon as the message was sent, it turned into a red exclamation mark. In a flash of inspiration, I took a deep breath and clicked on Lin Fangfei's video homepage. The latest one showed Sean Yu accompanying Lin Fangfei at the amusement park, with the caption, "As long as I beckon, others don't stand a chance. P.S. This video is specially for a certain visitor yesterday. You've taken over my man and my child for so long, isn't it time to return them to me?" In the video, Sean Yu, who was always afraid of heights, stood on the bungee jumping platform and confessed his love to Lin Fangfei affectionately. "Baby, after all these twists and turns, you're the only one I love the most." And the BGM that Lin Fangfei added was, "Have you ever risked your life for someone?" I browsed through the videos Lin Fangfei had posted one by one. The more I watched, the more it felt like my whole heart was being tightly squeezed, and it hurt like hell. When Sean Yuan was hospitalized with pneumonia, Sean Yu, who said he was on a business trip in a neighboring city, was actually traveling with Lin Fangfei in an ancient town. When Sean Yuan got into a fight with the kids in the community and accidentally knocked out half of one kid's front tooth, and the child's parents came to the door to make trouble, I was exhausted dealing with it, while Sean Yu was accompanying Lin Fangfei to pick mushrooms in Yunnan, one thing after another. But what shocked me the most was a short video Lin Fangfei had posted a long time ago. "I'm like the wind, destined to leave, but I need money for the journey, and someone to take care of the child, so I can only watch with tears in my eyes as my man helps me find a fall guy." The time of that video was when I first met Sean Yu. I was driving properly when an old lady lay down in front of my car. I was so scared that I was at a loss. I took out my phone to call the police, but Sean Yu, who was watching, smiled and hung up the call I had just dialed. "The more you wrangle over this kind of thing, the more complicated it gets." He scared away the one who fabricated a collision with just a few words, and in my eyes, he seemed to be glowing. Later, we invited each other to meals, and he deliberately arranged for me to meet Sean Yuan. He showed weakness and told me his sad stories countless times in front of me. In a video of giving a surprise, the old lady who fabricated a collision in front of my car turned out to be Lin Fangfei's grandma. "Fine, very good." The manicure I had just done all broke when I clenched my fists. My fingers and palms hurt unbearably. Looking at the broken nail pieces in my palm, I seemed to see my marriage full of lies. So that's how they want to play. I watched as the time gradually reached 4:30, then 5:00, 6:00, and 7:00. A silent arc formed at the corner of my lips. "You two are out having fun, making me the child's nanny. Well, let's wait and see." "Oh." And the house mentioned in her comment section. I quickly took a taxi to the law firm. After getting an understanding, I felt a rush of anger stuck in my chest, and I almost spat out blood. No wonder Lin Fangfei didn't want the house when they divorced. No wonder Sean Yu, a divorced man, was so generous as to add my name to the property. So they wanted to use me to offset the halved housing price. The lawyer's cold voice still echoed in my ears. "Ms. Ning, this house is jointly owned by you and Mr. Sean now. It was bought at 28,000 yuan per square meter, and now it can be sold for at most 18,000 yuan per square meter. For this 160 square meter house, you've lost 6 million yuan in one go." I still couldn't understand the logic. "But this house now belongs to my husband. It's our common property after marriage, no matter how much it was bought for. What does it have to do with me being a fall guy?" The lawyer's small eyes stared at me through the glasses, reflecting a glint of wisdom. "I've taken on too many such cases. If you don't believe me, check your husband's divorce agreement from that time, or find out indirectly if your husband signed a loan to his ex-wife." I was even more confused. What does this have to do with me? After I got married and my name was added to the wedding house, it's now a house jointly owned by me and Sean Yu. Even if it's sold, we'll each get half. The lawyer explained a lot to me, and I finally figured it out. If this house became the joint property of our husband and wife after my name was added, then this housing loan was a joint debt of our husband and wife. This fact was even more unacceptable to me than being used as a fall guy. How could people be so bad? The lawyer said indifferently. "There are plenty of people who try to exploit legal loopholes." I don't know how I staggered back home. I thought that after I married into the Sean family, I spent 200,000 yuan on renovating this house, but in the end, I might even end up losing money. I couldn't figure it out all the way. How on earth did Shang Yu and Lin Fangfei come up with this idea? Shang Yu's shout interrupted my thoughts. Where's Shang Yuan? Shang Yuan, oh right, he gets out of school at 5:00 every day. I used to pick him up. My phone ran out of power and turned off. Didn't the teacher call you either? Shang Yu's face turned red. He stammered I for a long time but couldn't come up with a complete reason, but I could imagine. After the loving couple had a sweet time at the amusement park, they surely had to have a meal. How could they be disturbed by the teacher during the meal? Naturally, they would just hang up the phone. Do you think he doesn't worry about the child? Anyway, with me, the conscientious nanny, he could enjoy himself freely. When Shang Yuan came home, his eyes were red and swollen, and he looked at me with a bitter and vengeful expression. I hate you. I dislike you, you bad woman. You took my mom's place, and you deliberately didn't pick me up. I didn't even have the strength to argue with him, so I turned around and went back to my room, but Shang Yu grabbed me. What's wrong with you? Xiaobao hasn't eaten yet. You should quickly make him some food. I stared at him until he uncomfortably shifted his gaze, then I spread my hands. I'm taking care of my fingers recently. I can't do housework. Shang Yuan's meals and clothes are all up to you. Also, I've been suffering from neurasthenia recently and I need to get enough sleep. Don't bother me in the morning. You send your son to school yourself. Shang Yu opened his mouth, then sighed and stroked my hair. Are you mad at me for not answering your call? I was in a meeting at that time. I nodded understandingly. In a meeting, so you also blocked me on WeChat. Shang Yu looked uncomfortable. I was afraid that if you sent a video call, my boss would see it. I was eager to see Shang Yu's remorseful expression, so I stared at him with a smile. Do you know what you missed? Today was the registration for Shangqing Primary School. It was only today. I couldn't find Shang Yuan's vaccination book, but you didn't answer my call. I couldn't reach you, and I didn't find you at your company either. Shang Yu's eyes widened. Why didn't you tell me it was about Xiaobao's school enrollment? If I knew, Shang Yuan stopped crying. He sniffed. Hey, I must go to Shangqing School. My best friend is there too. You go and register for me tomorrow. I've taken care of him for 3 years. And from beginning to end, I don't even deserve to be called auntie. It's always just hey, but this time, I'm not sad because I don't care about him anymore either. I no longer looked at the broken down expressions of the father-son pair. I locked the door, opened the safe, and carefully flipped through the file bags Shang Yu had put in there before. When I saw on the divorce agreement that this house was a fully paid house that Lin Fangfei bought with a loan from her parents, and now, for the sake of the child, it was given to Shang Yu, but the loan for the house needed to be repaid by Shang Yu. My head started to ache. There was also a copy of the IOU. Shang Yu had written stroke by stroke that he owed Lin Fangfei's parents 48 million yuan for the full payment of the house. Damn it. Now this house is at most worth 88 million yuan. That's a gap of 6 million yuan. And my name was clearly on the property certificate. That means, even if the house is sold, I'll still be in debt by 800,000 yuan. They calculated on me to take care of the child and calculated on me to offset the housing price. Fine, Shang Yu and Lin Fangfei are really something. I took pictures of all the evidence and sent them to my lawyer. The other party said they would study it carefully and then talk to me. While anxiously waiting for the lawyer's reply, Shang Yu knocked on my door. Ning Xian. I think we need to have a good talk. I also wanted to hear what kind of lies he could come up with. Shang Yu covered his face with his hands and gave a bitter smile. These 2 days, I've done everything myself, and I finally realize how hard it is for you to take care of the child. To be honest, you've had a tough time marrying me. Little girls of your age are still out having fun everywhere, but you have to take on the responsibility of a mother every day. I secretly turned on the recording on my phone. Honey, between husband and wife, why be so calculating? As soon as we got married, you added my name to the fully paid house. When my friends are still borrowing money everywhere for the down payment of a small apartment, I already have such a big house. It's worth over $1 million in my name. This is all your love for me. Honey, I must make it clear in the recording that I didn't know about the loan. Sure enough, Shang Yu still thought I knew nothing and that I was just tired of taking care of the child. He pinched my face. Everything I have is yours, not to mention this house. In the future, if I earn enough money to buy a villa, I'll write your name on it too. I feigned being flattered. Is it still a fully paid one? I don't want to be in debt or take out a loan. Shang Yu said matter-of-factly, of course not. Your husband here has plenty of capabilities. I showered him with all kinds of praise. Then Shang Yu became serious. Only when the home front is stable can I work hard in the company. I really can't spare time between Xiaobao and work, since I hadn't received a definite reply from the lawyer yet. I didn't want to offend him at this time. Honey, Did you buy this house with your own money? You're really capable. If I take care of Shang Yuan, can you buy us a big villa soon? Shang Yu boasted about himself following my lead, and then assigned me the task of picking up and dropping off Shang Yuan tomorrow. I sent the recording to the lawyer. Early the next morning, the other party happily told me that I could prove that I didn't know about this debt, and Shang Yu didn't re-sign or add to the debt later, so this debt didn't belong to me, of course. Similarly, I couldn't get a share of the property either. Now I just want to get out of this mess as soon as possible. If I can't get a share of the property, so be it. Moreover, Shang Yu and Shang Yuan have been leeching off me and not taking my efforts seriously, but they have truly enjoyed the benefits of my care in these 3 years. I don't believe that after I leave, they can get along well with Lin Fengfei. I have plenty of time to wait for them to face problems. After waking Shang Yuan up, he looked at the empty dining table and angrily threw a water cup. Where's the breakfast? Are you not going to prepare breakfast for me? Do you want me to go to school hungry? How can you be so vicious? Shang Yu, who was sleepy-eyed, frowned and walked out. Ning Xian, why didn't you make breakfast for Xiaobao? I held up my hands. I'm injured, I can't touch water, I can't do it. There. Our breakfast shop's outside, just eat something there. Shang Yu's brows furrowed, but Xiaobao has a weak spleen and stomach. How can he always eat outside food? If you're worried, you can make it for him. Anyway, I can't. Shang Yu was furious. Didn't we agree last night? I'll focus on striving for our family, and you take care of the home front. I reached out and clicked on the quick recording again. Where's the money? From the day we got married until now, have you ever given a single cent for household expenses? I married you, spent 200,000 yuan on renovating the house, spent 200,000 yuan on Shang Yuan's 3-year kindergarten, not to mention the daily food, drink, and other expenses. All my salary has been used for household expenses. What about you? Where's the money you earned? Shang Yu's eyes dodged, and he stammered. My younger brother got married and needed to buy a car, so I gave him 300,000 yuan. I secretly made a mental note to ask the lawyer about this later. I should have half of this money. I stared at him. You earned 300,000 yuan in 3 years of work. With that kind of income, you still want to buy a villa. You'd better take good care of the child. Shang Yu was so provoked by me that his face turned red. And there's also the alimony for my parents, 300,000 yuan a year, buying a car for his younger brother, paying alimony to his parents. Clearly, the money all went into Lin Fengfei's pocket, but I didn't argue with him about this, as long as I could confirm that this was the common property of our marriage that he misappropriated. Moreover, last night, while he was asleep, I took pictures of every transfer he made to Lin Fengfei as evidence. It was exactly 900,000 yuan, no more, no less. On the surface, I pretended not to know anything. Your parents are really lucky to have such a filial son like you. Unlike me, I've earned some money and all of it has been spent on an old man and a step-son. No wonder my parents strongly opposed my marriage to you. After squeezing in some sarcastic remarks and making sure I recorded that not a single cent of the money he earned after marriage was used for the common household expenses, I picked up my bag and went to work. Send Shang Yuan to school? Sorry, not a chance. Whoever wants to be this nanny and big fool can do it. After work, I directly called Shang Yu and said I had to work overtime and couldn't pick up the child. Then I went to the law firm. After confirming that all the current information was helpful to me, I calmed down and decided to confront them at night. But when I got home, there was no one there. I looked at the time. It was 9:30 p.m. Normally, they should be at home. I clicked on Lin Fengfei's short video account. Sure enough, she had updated again. This time, it was a video of the couple taking the child to buy clothes. There was the soft and handsome son, the gentle and doting husband, and the well-maintained Lin Fengfei. I directly spent a large amount of money to promote her video to the hot search. Soon, there were messages under the video. Loving someone is like raising a flower. Little sister, you're really well taken care of by him. Ah, how can I be a mom without any pain? This little guy is so cute. He's my cloud adopted son from now on. Which direction should I worship to find such a good husband? Please tell me. In the midst of this harmony, an acquaintance left a message. Wait, didn't you two get divorced several years ago? I remember Shang Yu has been remarried for several years. How did you get back together? Ah, so the original wife became the mistress. Sisters, go and check this woman's homepage, from top to bottom. You'll come back and thank me. Wow, I'm really shocked. What kind of operation is this? I feel sorry for the remarried little sister. Do they think everyone else is a fool? I continued to increase the promotion, get popular, go viral. If they, the scumbag and the slut, don't end up ruined in reputation, it just means I haven't Spent enough money, then I used a new account to post screenshots of Lin Fangfei's previous comments and others' comment sections in the comment area. The enthusiastic netizens were all abuzz. What's a mistress? That girl is innocent, and that old hag, acting with her granddaughter to stage a incident. Holy crap, can't we call the police for this? The marketing accounts with a keen sense of smell immediately got to work. The story of Lin Fangfei getting tired of taking care of the child and wanting to find a fall guy to take over, as well as the stinky operation of the house, trying to make the second married wife offset the halved housing price, were all dug out. The situation was going even more smoothly than I had imagined. I then posted a video online, clearly expressing how infatuated I was with Shangyu and his son over the years, pouring out my heart and soul, and how, after learning the truth, I felt so that I was now in the hospital's emergency room. Many women who had been deceived by their husbands in marriage and burdened with huge debts shared their experiences in the comment section. There were also many kind-hearted people telling me to be strong. I was in the hospital, getting in 4 drip of glucose and watching the comments with great interest when Shangyu came to me angrily. Ning Xian, have you had enough? Why did you incite people to cyber-bully Fangfei? What did she do wrong? She hasn't even met you. I'm divorced with a child. I told you this before we got married. You were the one who voluntarily treated Xiaobao well. What are you complaining about now? These few words were like hanging me upside down and draining all the water in my head. Curing my infatuation, I stood there, dizzy, looking at Shangyu again. He was actually so ordinary. I secretly turned on the live stream, pinched myself hard, and tears streamed down. I looked at Shangyu with a wronged expression. If this short video hadn't gone viral and Lin Fangfei's homepage hadn't been exposed, were you planning to make me help you offset the halved housing price? If Lin Fangfei hadn't revealed it herself, how long were you going to keep it from me? You all are a loving family. Why did you drag me into your mess? You have so much money to give to your parents and your brother. Why couldn't you use it to hire a nanny to take care of the child? The barrage in the live stream was flying by. Many people were scolding me. Infatuated fool, stupid people. Like you don't deserve sympathy. You didn't listen to your parents. You buried hidden troubles for yourself. Now that something has happened, you know to ask for help. Why didn't you listen to others' advice earlier? Graduated from college and married a divorced man with a child, going to be a step-mother, and even paying for the renovation. Listen to this. If I were a parent, I'd be furious, of course. There were also people scolding Shangyu for being overly calculating. The barrage was popping up so fast that I couldn't keep up. Shangyu didn't know there was a live stream. He stood there for a long time, then sighed. First of all, you need to understand the logic. Without Fangfei's willfulness, I would never have married you, and Xiaobao would never have been entrusted to you for care. I was so angry that I laughed. So, your Shang family is some kind of high-class noble family, and I should be grateful for the chance to be a step-mother. Shangyu waved his hand. Stop talking about all this nonsense. You should quickly delete the video online and record an apology video for Fangfei, then this matter can be over. Otherwise, neither I nor Xiaobao will ever forgive you. I don't care about your forgiveness, you big fool. I divorced Shangyu. I submitted the evidence of him transferring money to Lin Fangfei to the court, and finally, half of the money was returned to me. The 800,000 yuan deposit at home also all went to me. After leaving the Shang family, I felt like I had shed a layer of skin. I went home and had a high fever for 3 days. When I recovered, my boss gave me a half-month leave. She said I was suitable to go out and relax. I bought a plane ticket to Xinjiang. I rented a small wooden house in Heimu and leisurely watched the water flow and the wild geese fly every day. And Lin Fangfei, high-profilely remarried Shangyu. The caption of the video was even more nauseating. The wrong detours, the wrong hands held, were all for our better reunion. The family of 3 looked happy in the video. A colleague called me, Sister Xian, are you just going to let it go? How could I? Shangyu, being carried away by joy, probably forgot about Shangyuan's school enrollment. The registration for Shangqing School had already closed. The school district housing corresponding to Shangyu's house only had 3 days for registration, and Shangyu, apparently, neither paid attention to the homeowners group nor the student group. I was looking forward to seeing Shangyuan, that ungrateful brat, cry because he couldn't find a school. Sometimes, when the sun was shining brightly, I would carry a drawing board to the birch forest to paint. The sunlight shone through the leaves, casting a ray of hope, making people feel happy and as if the wounds from the past were being healed. When I had nothing to do, I would open Lin Fangfei's short videos to see what kind of trouble this electronic pet could stir up. As I expected, at first, her short videos were all about a Peaceful life. Slowly, she started posting emotional rants late at night. Men are all despicable, they don't know how to cherish once they get what they want. Children are debts from past lives. Who wants to do this 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. job? Any father who wants to can do it. Picky eater, fussy, bad-tempered. If you weren't my own, I'd definitely throw you out. Her entire account was filled with complaints and decadence. The enthusiastic netizens were delighted and actively left comments. Under her short videos, evil deeds will be punished, serves her right, a slut will get her comeuppance. Later, Lin Fengfei, who had lost her temper, directly closed the comment section and my vacation was over. The company asked if I was willing to go to the branch company for training and that I could be promoted to the head of the branch company after 3 years. I immediately agreed. The water in my head was gone. And it was time for me to make a fortune. I adapted well to working in the branch company. While the farce of Shang Yu's family never subsided in September, the school opening season, Shang Yu called me. You didn't arrange Shang Yuan's primary school properly. Sure enough, whether it's a man or a woman, being infatuated is stupid. Mr. Shang, we're divorced. Shang Yuan is your child. Whether he goes to school or not has nothing to do with me. Shang Yu was completely shocked. But you were the one who arranged everything about his school. You brought him up. How can you be so irresponsible? Even though I knew he couldn't see me, I still raised the corners of my lips. None of my business. Don't bother me anymore. Get lost. Lin Fengfei was angry and criticized me in her video for not taking care of Shang Yuan's school enrollment. The comment section was amused. Wait, did Shang Yuan pop out of a stone? An orphan with no parents? This comment was topped to the hot search. Lin Fengfei, losing her temper, retorted, please be a civilized person. The other person wasn't intimidated, politely asking, if he has parents, why should the step-mother be responsible? The comment section that Lin Fengfei had just opened for a few days was closed again in embarrassment. Shang Yuan didn't register in time, so he had to go back to kindergarten. The little brat was in a bad mood and no longer had the eagerness to please his mother as before. Instead, he threw tantrums at home, throwing and hitting things. Lin Fengfei left back then because the child was annoying. Now she couldn't stand Shang Yuan's nonsense even more. She posted the videos of Shang Yuan throwing tantrums and her trying to discipline him online, secretly blaming me for spoiling her son. Of course, the comments were closed, but the marketing accounts wouldn't let go of such a good opportunity, so, under the marketing accounts teasing videos, netizens' pent-up complaints could finally be vented. I've really never hated someone this much. She's both evil and stupid. She doesn't take care of her own son but proudly labels the legitimate second married wife as a mistress. We all know what kind of person Lin Fengfei is. I watched the drama for 3 months. Suddenly, one day, Lin Fengfei was on the hot search again. This time, the caption was, Mom, don't worry about me. I'm taking on 2 in my husband's family. I didn't let you down. In the video, the home I had carefully decorated before was smashed to pieces. Even the toilet was smashed through. Shang Yu was bleeding from his legs and arms. Shang Yuan wasn't any better. There was a big gash on his face. Judging by the severity of the wound, it would probably leave a scar. In the video, Shang Yuan's hysterical voice came out. Get out. You get out quickly. I want Mom Ning Xian back. I don't want you. You're lazy and have a bad temper. No wonder Dad didn't want you. The video ended abruptly. The marketing accounts were celebrating the retribution. I was seriously sharing the photos of my recent trip to Yunnan with everyone. Everyone said that my divorce was the best beauty treatment, and in the video, Lin Fengfei visibly looked haggard, with big dark circles under her eyes. Even her once tender hands had become rough. When I was enjoying the drama, my neighbor across the door called me. Ning Xian, why is there a fire in your house? Open the door quickly. I have a fire extinguisher. I told the neighbor that I had divorced Shang Yu. The neighbor muttered, no wonder there has been smashing and arguing across the door every day recently. There hasn't been a peaceful day. I called the fire department. After thinking about it, I still wasn't at ease, so I called Shang Yu. Although the 3 of them were not good people, the neighbors were innocent. Unexpectedly, as soon as the call was connected, Lin Fengfei sneered, oh, our third sister is calling. I was just about to ask third sister for advice. How did you train your dog? My own child. My husband who I've been with since I was 16. How did you bewitch them? Aren't you supposed to care about and love them? Aren't you all a family? Come and die with him. I rolled my eyes. The neighbor across the door has a fire extinguisher. This is no small matter. Open the door quickly. Lin Fengfei directly hung up the phone. When I called back, it was turned off. There was nothing I could do. I could only hope for the fire brigade. It was not until early morning that the neighbor across the door called me. The fire is out. But Shang Yu was severely burned, and Lin Fengfei and Shang Yuan were choked to death by the smoke. After learning that Shang Yuan's mother had heartlessly left him when he was 1.5 years old and went abroad, with no news since then, my maternal love burst out even more. I thought how poor it would be if little Shang Yuan had no one to love him. After comforting the neighbor, I searched for the real-time fire report online. The camera was focused on Shang Yu. He was clearly rolling in pain but still mumbling. Only when the microphone was brought close to him could we hear. It was Lin Fengfei who did all the evil. God, punish her. She was the one who suggested cheating. God, I was wrong. Please bless me to get better soon. Subsequently, the media also followed up with reports to treat his burns and compensate the neighbors upstairs and downstairs for their losses. Shang Yu sold that house and his leg was severely burned, and he would be unable to leave a wheelchair for the rest of his life. When he was transferred from the intensive care unit to the general ward, Shang Yu called me, saying he wanted to see me and apologize to me in person. I directly refused. Sorry, seeing your hideous face, I'm afraid I'll have nightmares and can't sleep well. I'm relieved to know you're having a bad time. You don't need to pray to God anymore. Those who do evil will surely bring about their own downfall. It's not that there's no retribution. It's just that the time hasn't come yet. My colleagues, who learned about all the follow-up, crazily sent me emojis. Are you satisfied? Are you satisfied? Of course I'm satisfied. I don't want to return good for evil. I just want to return like for like. The only regret is that I didn't have a chance to take action before they killed themselves.